Hello, hello. We are we are back live and inside the lab. It's been a while, right? Had to went through some more deals. Let me just get right into it. Went through some more deals with my previous headset I was using. I've been back and forth on what to go with next. I still really was, and this is more so very much a band-aid on a bullet wound situation, if you will. But I do enjoy Corsair products, and these particular, I pretty much brought the same kind I had before, but now this time it just matches the aesthetic of my build. Here, Snow White. So, and I do enjoy I'm not a hardcore audiophile, but I do enjoy like music, and I do enjoy the audio, in my games. So, I just went with the Corsair Void, RGB headset, and for space reasons, it just helps with the live stream. So it's good to see everyone. Let me jump into the chat and say what's up, Sparta Rules and Thunder. What's going on? How you guys doing? And everybody else who was joined into the live stream. All right, this is our essentially we took a week off from the show. Let's just jump right into it, right? Before we get into the house cleaning, I just want to mention, yeah, that we took a week off. Excuse me, we took a week off from the show, and essentially it was our holiday week. So me not having my microphone kind of correlated with the timing. So that worked out, but we're back here. We're in the month of December. This is actually my birthday month. And as it gets closer, we'll likely do a New Year's Eve birthday stream, right? I don't know how the internet would handle, everyone being online around midnight or when the clock strikes and we're into the new year, which everybody is hoping and looking forward to some much needed changes, right? Just with how the events that are going on in the world are infecting essentially everybody in the world. And I really did miss last week's live stream. And to those of you who are watching on the replay, we also didn't publish a normal vlog last week on top of our normal live stream. So again, we were on our holiday break, but being able to communicate live like this is just really awesome because depending on where you are and depending on your government's restrictions and guidelines, most of the time, most of us, 80 to 90% of the time, when we are talking to people or when we are engaging with people outside of our personal bubble, there's a certain disconnect. Why? Because everyone's wearing masks, right? For the most part, everyone's wearing masks. I mean, I wear mines, uh, and it's just it's one of the things. Whether you think it works or not, it's we wear it. But either way, right? Because everybody has their freedom of choice. But either way, the way you look at it is most of the time our faces, 50% of our faces are covered up when we are engaging and talking with people. And when I'm live here, this is obviously a safe way for me to talk to you and to just have a close, as humanly possible, a close human to human connection, even if it is through a screen or it's through a monitor. I see Tiger Nation. Tiger Nation, what's going on? It's good to see you. Tiger Nation says, hey. And Sparta Rule says, I'm glad everything is good. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's not even personal, but I did have uh some life changes, right, to come up. Nothing bad, but by life changes it's just that means that my time now becomes a little bit more valuable, a little bit more scarce. But hey, here's to 2021, right? We're going to talk about 2021 more specifically, right, as this title implies. More specifically, though, the state of the GPU market and essentially what could be the new norm for not just PC gamers, right? For console gamers as well. Even if they say, well, yeah, the PS5 and Xbox Series S/X, and we are going to talk about this a little bit more in the live stream. But even if they say the Xbox Series S and the Series X, they're far superior gaming systems, if you will, for just plug and play. Doesn't require you to learn the process or install Windows or update the BIOS or the nervous step of installing the CPU into a socket, right? Because in AMD, it can be a little nerve wracking with the little gold pins if you ever installed an AMD CPU, but you know what what is going on in the gaming market is not just is not just exclusive to PC gamers. It's our console gamers friends as well. And that's something we're going to talk about in the live stream. On top of a ask me anything, not sure how long we're going to go. We're going to go as long as, we get through the show and hit some of the key points. But I mean, I am going to try to, keep the flow and keep the energy going. That way, if you can think of any questions you may want to ask me, and even if they're outside of the realm of PC gaming or just gaming in general, I will answer. I'm going to answer at least 90% of them. 90% of your questions, doesn't matter, what they are. Let's get personal, right? Let's get personal. Let's connect. Because again, I haven't had the opportunity to fellowship with a lot of you here in our community, in our awesome community. I mean, man, we are small, but some of you have some incredible, powerful voices, and I enjoy talking to you in the comment sections. I recognize your names, and I know, we've been lacking on the VODs here. If you're here on the replay, we do weekly normal content outside of our live streams for the uninitiated, but we are going to get back to our VODs and give you a little bit of live stream show insider. And that is, I am currently in the process of editing, up this week. If you, well, it'll more so be likely Monday's premiere. So we're going to say next week starting, and it's going to be a doozy. It's a little longer than 10 minutes, and we're hands on and we're active. And this live stream is almost like a pregame, if you will, to that video, because we are going to talk about ways that you could circumvent the situation that scalpers have imposed on gamers global. We're not just talking about here in the States where I am, which let me jump back into the chat real quick and say what's up to Chris. Chris, what's going on? It says it's 2:18 in Poland, so I'm going to sleep, but I just wanted to say hi. Yeah, was Chris is thanks for stopping by and saying hi if you're still here. Normally, yeah, our live streams aren't this late, but with just given the oddity of getting the audio situated and just taking care of some life things I had going on. I pushed it to late because I just couldn't bear doing pushing it back another week. But I do appreciate you. Wow, 2:18 in the morning. I remember I used to be able to hang, that long, but I definitely can't game that long because I'm old head. I'm old school. Again, any questions you want to ask? I've been around for a couple years, right? Uh, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily qualified to give you life advice, but I'm all open. Again, this is a ask me anything, and even if you are here on the replay, this is important. Even if you're here on the replay, still ask your questions down below because I very much pay close attention to the live streams after they go up. I do leave them up, and I do understand that they may not have much replay value. Most YouTube coaches and experts tell you, don't leave your live streams up or chop them down into smaller chunks. But the way I look at it, our show here, our Inside the Lab live show, this is just an overall place where you can come in and just come in and just fellowship and talk and even just see how the conversation went. And even if you watch the whole replay, which shout out to my replay viewers, then let me know down in the comment section if there's something you want to elaborate on that I didn't, go further into detail during the live stream. I see I got my guy Keith. Keith says, "Good to see you. Proud of you, Doc." Yeah, I appreciate that. For those who don't know Keith, I worked for Keith here locally a few years back. Awesome guy. Thanks for stopping by, Keith. It's good to see you, bro. I hope the family is doing great. Sparta Rule says if you want to tease, you can. I'm wondering if you mean to tease next week's video. Tease next week's video. Let me know down in the comment section, Sparta Rules. Let me know down in the comment section. But yeah, let's jump in. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping, right? Whoa. Okay. I don't know what happened there. All right, give me 1 second. Let me bring up the window. Here we go. Okay. Well, that's not want to come up, but anyway, you can find out. You can join our mailing list. It's down in the comment section below or the pinned chat. Um, I like to connect with the audience and just the our subscribers here in a more intimate way. YouTube's notification systems aren't great. We have horror stories and comments from members in the audience here who have shared that hey, I'm not getting your notifications from your videos. I only get your notifications from your live streams, and that's understandable because as it stands, YouTube prioritizes live streams. So I totally could understand why you would get all of the notifications for our live streams and not for the VODs. So if you join our newsletter, not only will you be able to be notified of just all of the monthly content, like a monthly summary, also exclusive behind the scenes or exclusive upcoming content announcements when we launch things like our Patreon and when channel memberships become a thing. I mean, we're growing. We got a little ways to get there, but when we do, I want to open up the community and then bring us back in together. And but what I mean by that is using our mailing list. When we launch our Patreon, for example, or when we launch the Inside the Lab Discord, for example, that's going to be you'll know as a as a subscriber to our newsletter. It's totally free, right? Don't do it now, right? Do it after the live streams. If you leave the live stream, you won't be able to miss the rest of this awesome content we have planned. But you can find that out down. You can find the link to our newsletter down in the pinned comment or in the description box, which we call the basement. On top of that, we have Inside the Lab merch. Now, Inside the Lab, the merch supports the channel in a tremendous way, and it's priced with very thin margins. I just want you to represent the community, represent you as a gamer, and look good while you're playing your games. So I'm wearing one of the shirts now, right? This is one of the plug edition shirts here. You can find the link to our Teespring store down in the description box below. Again, we call that the basement. And then last but not least, with concluding our housekeeping segment, and that is our website, which very much is an extension of the content, and that's insidethelab.net. I do have a blog on there, and I am going to publish more helpful articles outside of videos, or make those articles supplemental to the videos, if you will. Like, I'm really big on fandom and I'm really big on lore. I'm a DC Comics fan and what have you. So if you imagine like watching a movie and then you can go back and like read more about what was not expanded on the movie, right, in text form. So there are a few blog posts up now. You can check out the website again with the pinned comment down below. And with that out the way, let me jump back over here to the comments because Thunder Thunder gave me some side eyes. I know a little bit of TD. That's technical difficulties, but that's okay because the show got to keep going, son. And then Spider Rule says the video idea we talked about. Oh, okay. I mean, well, yeah. For those, I'm doing actually two videos coming up on, and one of them is I'm doing with Sparta Rules, who's here in the chat, where I'm going to build his PC, but going to I'm going to put a little bit of this. I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on there because I want to test the limits of the new price to performance, what's available like right now, and then doing another build for a local client here in the upcoming weeks for Christmas. This is generally around the time when I get a lot of requests to do PC builds, and obviously I can't document them all because this is very much a one man show, right? My wife, she helps me moderate the channel, and she's my camera associate and what have you, and helps me as an extra pair of hands if I'm like wrapped up in building and I need like a camera movement or a different camera shot. But it's essentially a one man band, and so it takes a lot of time to produce the video and also make sure I am doing my best to produce a high quality content in the form of a gaming PC. So do be on the lookout for that. A little bit of shameless plug. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I welcome you to subscribe. We go live as it stands every Saturday, but then definitely once a week. And also be sure to like this video because we are. I may even do a pop-up live stream. Like, I do want to come in and kick it and play some games with you guys. So if there is a game you want me to play, tell me across the social somewhere. You can find me over on Instagram at Inside the Lab YT if that's your place to be. You can find me over on Twitter if that's where you like to hang, because that's my thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to rhyme. That's so cringy, right? But you can find me in all those places, or even right here on YouTube. Comment on the video. Let me know what game would you like to play, and I'll also likely run a poll too on the community tab, which I ran a poll asking the community what what graphics card would you be the most interested in me testing, right? Like obviously I can't get them all. There is a limit to this because they don't send the small fries like me, this hardware, and really there's not enough. I would even say if either one of those big companies wanted to sample me one of those cards, I would almost refuse and say, listen, I can't I can't review or recommend a product that's not available at MSRP to consumers. That's a little conflictive, in my honest opinion. That is very much an opinionated statement. I do know larger tech tubers have reviewed these products. It's kind of their due diligence as master influencers, if you will, within the tech community. But I would much rather review products and show you the performance of products that are readily available now. Products that you can readily available now that you can buy at MSRP, not at dramatically inflated costs of up to 100%. And we're going to talk about it. Let me jump back over here in the chat because Ron says, Myron, what's up, Myron? It's good to see you, bro. I was hoping you made it on. I couldn't remember if you said you work nights or you were off nights, but I can't. What's up, bro? It's good to see you. I got to talk to you. But yeah, he says, let me see your skills in Apex. I'm gonna keep it 100. I am not that good in Apex, and that's because I try to play with I try to play with keyboard and mouse. But I'm good on keyboard and mouse on like Warzone and even Fortnite, believe it or not. Like, but Apex, I need to get good on a controller because I'm not that great on keyboard and mouse. Like my aim is garbage. But if you guys and gals want to see me, play a game bad, then we'll do that. Maybe that's what we'll do on my birthday live stream. Maybe if you I run a poll, or maybe I'll do it over on Twitter. So do be sure and definitely that you're following me on Twitter. And in fact, I declare it right now, right here on this live stream. And even if you're here on the replay, this stands for you. If you go to Twitter and you follow me, hey, at me and let me know. Say, hey, I'm X, at blank at Ron Richards. Oh, from the community, from the YouTube community, giving you a follow. I will follow you back. I will follow our member. I will follow our audience, our core audience. I will follow you back. That way, you're not only keeping up with the brand inside the lab and myself, but I'm also keeping up with any issues or your life as well. It creates an extension of my personality, and I want to connect with you. I want to connect with members in the audience. So yeah, if you're here on if you're here on the live stream and you're here on the replay, do give me a follow over at Twitter at Inside the Lab YT. Let me know that you follow me from here, and I will definitely give you a follow back. Tiger Nation says we should play some Fortnite and Warzone together. Yeah, Zion. I mean, we could. I mean, that's long. That's long overdue. I want to play Fortnite. Like that's one of the games I was going to do a pop up live stream, right? Like hint, hint, if you will. But I haven't decided. Rather, that was going to be, Warzone or Fortnite or whatever the case. Even if it was a single player game, right? Like I've been wanting to play Blair Witch game for some odd reason. I don't know. I don't know. Spider Roll says you should play with me on Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight. All right, I don't have the game, but doesn't mean I can't get it. I can't find it. But yeah, I tell you what, some of these games here, I remember to log on a poll, Ron, and Spider Rules. Thanks for suggesting them between Dead by Daylight and Apex. And Tiger and Zion says Fortnite and Warzone. I mean, yeah, those are so mainstream. A lot of people are playing them. Again, I kind of also wanted to toy the idea of playing a game not a lot of people are playing at the moment. Which I mean, I know Fortnite just had a massive new content drop, and I've been meaning to jump into it and give it a test here anyway. To be honest with you, so maybe I'll play it off and then maybe do a pop up live stream. So again, be sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for that because it is coming up. And once again, I just want to let everybody know that I am live over in Maryland, over here on the East Coast, right in the United States of America. It's currently nighttime. I don't know if it's raining or not, but man, the hawk is sure out. And if you don't understand that reference, let me tell you, it just means it's cold, right? But whether you're here now or you're coming onto the live stream, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what's the weather like in your area and what's happening in your neck of the woods. But jumping into the warm up, right? because the GPU market is barren, right? And I made a little funny sequence for you guys and gals, but the GPU market is barren with both stock on Nvidia's high-end graphics cards and both AMD's, their Ryzen 5000 CPUs. Both of them are suffering from low stock. And if you want a new PS5, right? If you want the new PS5 or a new Xbox Series S or just a Series Xbox in general, you will find yourself paying a king's ransom in excess of up to 100% markup of MSRP. If you're following me on Twitter, you may have you may have seen some of the tweets and some of the things I've shared. Like I was in the hunt for an RTX 3070. Matter of fact, if you go to my Twitter feed, which we would now, but for some reason my encoder is not trying to bring up, not trying to bring up my websites, but that's all right. We'll keep the ball rolling. But if you jump and look at my Twitter, I was up at 12:01 at launch, and at 12:01, I kid you not, they were already listed on eBay, scalped. The RTX 3070 is a $500 graphics card, right? And the picture I posted. It was the lister was selling it for, I think it was $800 or $900. Excuse me. That's insane. That's insane. And it's like some people are saying, well, all you gotta do is just keep hitting refresh, keep hitting refresh, keep hitting refresh. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have to, just keep hitting refresh, keep hitting refresh. I mean, they should be in stock at launch. This is kind of concerning. This tells us a lot about, both Nvidia's preparation and AMD's preparation with these launches. It's almost like there never was any launch. Or, I'm sorry, there never was, any physical hardcore product. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to misconstrue, because yes, we've have seen pictures out in the wild. Gamers have been able to get their hands, on said graphics cards, right? I've seen users with 3070s and 3080s and 3090s, what have you, even 6800 and 6800 XTs. But we don't know if they paid scalper prices, and they're more than likely not going to disclose so, just to avoid any scrutiny for going in that direction and not honoring any code, if you will, within the PC gaming community. I mean, they're really, you have the option. You could pay these prices, like, if you really, really, really want these products. But we just, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it at all. And I tell you what, I was really humbled and honored to see here recently in these past couple weeks in the comment sections on some of our vlogs, some of our VODs we posted from last week, where many of you either, if you're new in the community or if it was, say, like a new viewer, many of you had shared the sentiment on weathering the storm and waiting for new stock. And you're going to hear me say this a lot, and maybe not during this live stream, but you're going to hear me say it a lot in these videos. And by new stock, I mean stock at MSRP. That is likely going to take in excess, because it's not just scalpers, it's scalpers and their software and the applications they use, bot software. So they have a digital army on their side, and you just have you and your wallet or your bank account. But many of you have shared the same sentiment on just weathering the storm and waiting for stock to come back at MSRP. Uh, this is something we're going to talk about more during the live stream, but as these prices are scalped up and they're marked up 100%, in some cases 120% or 140%, their value is diminished by their scalp prices. And it jogs my memory, because it reminds me of a comment I seen, or a comment I was replying to on a previous video, where the commenter mentioned that, yeah, once, and I'm paraphrasing, right, but the commenter mentioned that if you're willing to pay, say $1,300 for an RTX 3080, why not just buy a graphics card at the $1,300 price category? Rather, it's faster, and I mean, that may be an RTX 2080 Ti. if you're buying one used, it could be you could arguably find one for lower than that price, right? And you're missing out, sure, on a little bit of performance, but if you're willing to pay the scalp price, you could always then afford the next level or the next tier. Or here's a kicker, and this has been something that's been on my mind here recently, and that's what if AMD and NVIDIA price these graphics cards at these prices that scalpers have? Sony and Microsoft too. They're not off the hook here. We're gonna talk. I mean, because they they very much too now are at the mercy of scalpers and their digital army of bots, which they have yet to be able to find an effective way to combat. Some users have suggested, well, you can enable CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA slows down the bots, but it doesn't necessarily take care of the problem. In fact, it's worse than the band-aid on the bullet wound. Arguably, I'm really not sure how to phrase it, but CAPTCHA really just slows down the bots and it slows down the scalpers. And you know, given the situation across the globe, we know retailers and e-tailers have no, they have no reason. They have nothing to gain by slowing down the process of buying their products, right? Because retailers are hard up for cash right now. So one thing they want to do is actually slow down the process of buying something. So the idea that we're going to look for retailers to come up with a way to stop this is, remains to be seen. There is one retailer, and I can't think it off the top of my head. I think it was a UK based retailer, but they canceled a few hundred PS5 pre-orders from scalpers. So I mean that's good, but it's still really slowing it down. It's slowing it down, and PS5s very much right now are going for up to 2 grand. That's insane. That's insane. But what if Sony at launch said, well, we're going to launch the PS5, the PS5, the premium edition, right? It's going to be $1,000 console. And the community, we would say, oh man, it's not worth $1,000. Why is Sony charging so much for this console? And we most likely wouldn't buy it. But consumers are entertaining this very idea with scalpers. Scalpers are marking the product up. They're profiting more than the manufacturers are. That is insane right now, and it's to no end. It's to no end. I mean, their scalpers are continuing to ruin the 6800 series launch. It's likely that we won't get any new 6000 series launch. And the 6900 XT is set to launch on December 8th. It will suffer the same fate. It is all. Let me put it this way: the 6900 XT is already out of stock. Let's just keep it 100. The 6900 XT is already out of stock. If you're able to get one, you likely have to have some hardcore inside connections, but it will be scalped, and it could be scalped at a cost equal to an RTX 3090 with the 24 gigabytes, and that's a 1500 graphics card at MSRP. That's important, but it's a $1,500 graphics card, and the 6900 XT is set to launch at $1,000 MSRP. Will it be available for $1,000 at MSRP? Absolutely not. I seriously doubt it will be. I mean, I expect it to exceed the RTX 3090's cost of over $2,000. Most of the scalped items I've seen I've had about 100 to 120% markup. Like it's just getting worse as stock lessens. Like the prices are just getting worse. And I see Tiger Nation said he said he had a blast to hop to get ready for the night and go to work tomorrow. All right, he said have a good night. I'm not sure if you're still around, but have a good night. All right, enjoy your day at work tomorrow. But we could see the 6900 XT going for 1,500 to 2 grand, and at that point, you ask yourself, should I just buy an RTX 3090? Right? But then again, those are going for over 2 grand. And so it just gets worse. Or you can say, well, I could still either put that money into other places, either faster storage, or you can come down a few generations, or something we talked about on a few of the previous live streams, and that you can put that money or put that budget into a decent monitor, into like a 1440p 165 hertz monitor. Just an option. And speaking of options, I do want to remind everybody that this live stream is also very much a ask me anything. So if there is something you wanted to ask me, even if it's outside of the realm and it's not necessarily PC related, do tell me. We're talking, RTX and how it's out of stock. Sharing some memes I found. These are hilarious, especially you can't have stock problems if you didn't have stock, and that's funny because that almost by definition explains this being a paper launch, right? It explains it being a paper launch, and then the second one and I know there's a little bit of delay, but the one where he says me explaining to my mom why I need RTX 3080. It's kind of satirical because you don't need an RTX 3080. Even right now, there's other options. Paying the inflated price for an RTX 3080 shouldn't be an option, right? It just shouldn't be an option. Let's not entertain the scalpers. Like we just should not entertain the scalpers. It's not healthy, folks. It's not healthy. But yeah, these memes are hilarious. I'll keep coming back to them. I see more even when I'm on social media, and I know you guys and gals do too when you're browsing your socials. But you know, again, it goes back to what I was talking about engaging with commenters on the videos. Many of them shared the same sentiment, right? I saw one here recently. I think it was Bluehead Lizard, and they were responding to other comments on the video. And I thought that was awesome because we were all resonating on the same frequency. We were all in agreements to the idea of taking advantage of the used market and not entertaining the scalpers. So while this is dependent on where you are or where you're located, but the value to price. Right, that's going to vary depending on your locality. But there could be some solid deals found on the Facebook Marketplace. And I had this all up prepared to share, but as you can see here, my window capture isn't is being very cooperative right now. So yeah, I had this all up and prepared to go, but it's it's not showing. It's not showing. And I'll see if oh here we go. All right, cool. So perfect time. Sparta Rule says I wish scalping was illegal nationwide so we wouldn't have this problem. I agree. Deep down inside, some level of restrictions or sanctions, something to that extent, something to help slow down the scalpers, like some type. And I know we're both here in the states, and this isn't applicable to our global friends, as the governments have different ways of dealing with things, and even then, most of our long distance friends have to deal with like higher costs anyway on new parts. So I mean, they're in a dire situation if they wanted to build a new PC. And again, you're depending on where you live, your value, the cost of these parts could very much vary. But you could check the Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace, in my opinion, right? And I did have the Facebook Marketplace up, but we're not going to jump to Facebook, right? Because in my opinion, the Facebook Marketplace, let me switch back here. Now that we know that's functioning and operating, the Facebook Marketplace is super dependent on your locality, where you are located, and that will determine our ratio, right? Our price to cost ratio, or I'm sorry, value to price ratio. That's going to determine where you are located, how much of an influence or how much of an influence do the local larger retailers might have in your area. For example, a Best Buy, a Micro Center. Maybe you live out in not around cities, things like that. Because most of the Micro Centers I've noticed are in heavily condensed areas. But you can search the used market. Facebook, one I recommend. Let me jump back here. It's Craigslist, good old fashioned Craigslist. And for those of you who don't know, Craigslist has been around for a very long time. I mean, a very long time. And it's still very much, I know we're in a world of social distancing and kind of avoiding people, but there are measures that you can, put in place that could make you and the potential seller and, you as a buyer and the potential seller both safe. There are ways to mitigate that. Wear gloves, wear masks, have a different way of paying for the product, paying for the item, maybe use PayPal, something to that extent if they're okay or if they want cash. Obviously, jump over to Chassis. RTX on has popped in. He says, "Word up, peeps. What's happened? RTX on is good to see you. RTX on, you came in at a good time. We're jumping in and taking a look at Craigslist. I know you're states bound too, but we were discussing on the live stream to our friends who are here live, and also shout out to our replay friends. I do not ever want to forget our replay friends. Shout out to our replay friends. But we were looking here in the used market, and I'm suggesting that don't ignore, don't completely leave out Craigslist, right? There still could be some halfway decent deals found on Craigslist, right? Like even a 500-watt power supply unit, $40. That's a little high because you can go new maybe and get something a little newer, but if the person, there's nothing wrong with haggling. Maybe see if you can come down $10, $20 maybe. The person's willing to let it go. They have everything to lose. You have everything to gain. They want to make money. They'll make the sale. But you are running a risk, especially with a power supply. I've bought used power supply units, but never for customer builds, only for myself and to test with. And I have yet to run into a power supply with an issue. But you can always buy a power supply tester if you fancy yourself to take it to the next level and test them out before you buy. Or you can ask this is, this is like the good, better, best model. The better way to do it is to ask the seller to provide some form of work and proof that with the timestamp date, that the product actually works. And with the power supply unit, that may be a little difficult to achieve. But you can help eliminate any doubt by saying, hey, what if I bring all the parts, or right, what if I bring a motherboard and, well, sorry, excuse me, sorry to stutter, but what if I bring the necessary parts? Can I just make sure power's on, make sure it gets constant power to the motherboard and that it boots and everything's fine, it's not loud or it's not shorting out and cutting off, it's not going up in smoke or what have you. Just see, and if the seller is okay with that, maybe a little difficult to mitigate again with social distancing, but it's a gamble, right? Again, Wilmington here, where you can see this here. For those of you who don't know, this isn't far from me. I do have it set to Delaware, although I'm not a Delaware resident. I'm really, really close to like PA, Delaware, New Jersey, and obviously Maryland, but they're all so close together. Wilmington is maybe a 20-minute drive from me, and this could be worth say the gamble if I could get the seller to come down, say maybe $20, $30. You save a little bit of money on a 500-watt power supply unit. Excuse me. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but you'd be surprised with some of the low power draws, especially if you're going with like a Ryzen based system, what you can get away with a 500-watt power supply unit. It looks like it's 80 silver, rated 80 silver, 80 plus. So, that's good, right? Decent power rating. But what I really wanted to show you, because this graphics card, I still think this is one of the good choices if you can. Let me see if it's still up. Because right here, GTX 1070, $220. RTX One says, I make timestamped video for buyers slash traders all the time. Works for both parties. I totally agree. Even when I am, bartering and trading, through sales and services, I always show, like, it depending on the part, right? If it's a motherboard, I show it's working order, it's recognizing the storage, it's recognizing the video card, it's recognizing memory, it's recognizing the CPU, all the temperatures, everything look good. I try to show those things and if I'm selling the CPU, I will do my best to pair it with the motherboard. This is why I have so many different motherboards around, but I'll try to pair it with the motherboard to show them that the CPU is working, right? And the same thing obviously with graphics cards where it matters the most, and that's the making sure that it at load that doesn't exceed temperatures that would put it out of spec, and that there's no stuttering and there's no like artifacting or black screens of death, all those things. So and you're right, it does work both. It works best for both parties. It's just so often than not, we see it's a thing. Even if you look here with this GTX 1070, the seller doesn't have any pictures of it, in working order. You're taking this seller's word for it unless it had a different description, which that might be a little difficult to read, right? But they gently use, still performing high 1080p, and they want 220. It's not bad, and that's in Westchester. Westchester again isn't far from me, but this is relative to me, and these prices are based off of my area or my region. But and then there's a couple of decent peripherals, but the GTX 1070, and you're going to see it here coming up in a video. I know you've seen it with the Ryzen 5 1600X video I did early on. That video was very niche, but you're going to see it more because I didn't test it at 1440p because this card, in my opinion, could be, the card to go for with this 8 GB memory buffer if you want to play 1440p. You could even play 4K. You play 4K depending on the game. You may need to lower the settings though to make playable FPS, like over 30 or 40 FPS. But at that point, you're almost playing at a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X like level with even better graphics because it'd be native 4K. But it's $220, and I see GTX 1070s, at least on this side, going for about that. And even before the live stream, when I was prepping for the show, and I said, hey, let me jump over to Craigslist to see if there's anything on the ticket worth talking about. And sure enough, I'm scrolling down, I'm like, wow, EVGA GTX 1070. What do you know? Among all the other graphics cards, some old, some new, and I also, let me see if it's still up. We also see a scalped RTX 3090, $2,400. Wow. So yeah, I mean they're everywhere, and this is South New Jersey. This is Blackwood, South New Jersey. Again, not really far from me, but yeah, $2,400. Wow. But GTX 1070s, I've seen them going for no more than 220, no more than 220, as low as 180, depending on the model type, right? If it's a reference model or Founders Edition model, which is the one you'll see coming up. A little bit of a spoiler alert, if you will. That'll be the one you see coming up in this week's video on demand. That's a VOD. You will see it come up, and we're testing it at 1440p. So, and that's all the details I'm gonna spare for you. Like fam, listen. If let me switch back here because this is so important for those of you who are here, and I know we got a lot of regulars here that are joining us tonight. If you don't do anything, I'm gonna need you to watch this video from beginning to end. I tried some new things, trying to take production to the next level and continue to tell a familiar story, as most of us know what these parts can do. So not only am I trying to specialize in telling a familiar story, I want to focus on telling a good familiar story. And I have made a little changes in the production, and just this one I feel really good about. This one I feel the energy when I'm editing it. It's awesome. Sparta Rules says, in my opinion, that's way too much. I would pay 150 to 170 tops. Okay, well, I mean, you gotta take into consideration what other graphics cards are available at that 150 to $170 price range, because that's something that the seller is also thinking about when they're selling this product. Like they know that there are no other graphics cards with 8 GB of VRAM that is less than 2 generations old that's going to drive either high, a 1080p, uh, a decent 1080p experience with high frames, or even it lets you get into decent 1440p gaming. You ask yourself, what in that price category could you find? And so if I was a 1070, if I was looking to sell my 1070, I would ask myself that question just to make sure I am getting the most, I'm getting the most money that I possibly can for this, what the graphics card is valued at. And as a seller, you should be exploring your options, right? You should be exploring your options. And let's say your budget is 180. You're like, oh, I got 180, but in 180, it's really difficult to find. I mean, even then, you're looking at maybe you could spend about $40 more and get a 5500 XT, which is faster than RX 580, which you can pick up an RX 580. I've seen them on Amazon for $169. But even with mature drivers, still not faster than a GTX 1070, especially at 1440p. But you ask yourself, if you're see, you say an RX 580 Sparta rules, but think about it. If I was selling a used RX 580, I couldn't sell it for $170, right? Because the buyer would say, well, I can go buy one brand new for $170. At that price point, you would have to come down on your RX 580 if that's new, if that's used. Again, we're talking on the used market, and this is why really, in my honest opinion, and we'll jump over to eBay to explore this. We don't see a lot of 580s and 570s. First of all, they were mined to death and bought by miners anyway, and they kind of sold them off a while ago. But you figure with if I had an RX 580 and I was going to sell it and it was used, I would have to come down at least, $40, 40 $50, and that way the buyer gets a better deal, more value for their money. They could take that savings and maybe put it towards more storage, if you will, or they can maybe, I mean, it could maybe get over the hump depending on what CPU they went with. But I mean, anytime you can get the value you're searching for and save money while doing so, it's an amazing thing in my honest opinion, because then you can divert those funds into another area of your system that either a complements it in aesthetics or complements it in terms of performance, because you can get a little bit of both. I like RGB. I think I did a poll a while ago, but I like RGB. I like RGB. I know it's not for everybody, but I'm down with RGB. I more so like static colors though, as you can see here with Snow White. But in the core shredder build, that's the rainbow peak, as as PCMR likes to call it. But it doesn't really bother me. Sometimes the lights are kind of cool and they're distracting or what have you, but I still think solid static colors when you're going with a more permanent build and less evolving build, like you will, like core shredder is, then static colors could be your way to go, especially if you have other complementary colors associated with the build, i.e., it might have a complementary red streak, like most NZXTs kind of have like a red bar, or red NZXT cases kind of have a red bar going down the inside. But where you can save that money, it's good to put it somewhere else. But RTX One says, I also bet he left himself $30 to $40 wiggle room. I do it selling, others do it, so I always see the price and start negotiations around that. Yeah, and I mean I totally resonate with that. Before before I sell prices too. I mean I try to see, first of all, what other users are sellers are, what other listers are selling the similar items, because if somebody's selling a 1070 8 gigabytes and you see like a 1060 6 gigabyte, and you can save $50 to $60. You have to tell yourself, well, you know what? I don't need the VRAM because I game at 1080p, so six gigabytes is more than enough. I only play at high settings, really. A 10, you wouldn't need to necessarily go with the 1070. So I look at the option, a little bit of an insider. I look at the options that's at least 1 to 2 generations up and 1 to 2 generations below, or whatever's up down relative to the screen of where you are. But I try to look to see what's available 2 generations down and 2 generations up, and try to price somewhere in between there. I've never had to return an item, and I never had a seller complain about a price. And I never had to lower a price too. I think when I'm doing my local business, my prices are competitive anyway. Even my services, like I see other builders, they say, "Oh, I charge $100 or I charge, $150." But I mean, I don't. I do. My model is very different, and it's very much based on how much your system is. Because even if you needed a $400 gaming PC, I want to, let you hang on to that savings, because why charge somebody $100 to build a $1,000 PC, and you also charge somebody $100 to build a $400 PC, right? I don't agree with some of the pricing models that I share with some of my competitors, and that's okay, because that's locally. We're here live. Jump into the chat because RTX Owen says he's down with RGB. Yeah, you know me. Get down with RGB. Every last homie. Wow, you must be old school. That's a old school, right? That's an old school song right there. Yeah, but Sparta Rules is laughing. Yeah, I'm down with RGB. And if anybody else, I see we got a couple new people joining into the chat. You joined in an awkward moment because we're talking about RGB. I was, raising the roof saying you down with RGB. I'm down with RGB, right? If you don't know, that's just colors on the spectrum: red, green, blue, and it's just what you see associated with computers. Here's Snow White. I'm using, it's static white, but if you saw my graphics card, it's rainbow peak right now. It's normally set to white, but I haven't had a chance to get to it. But yeah, I'm down. I'm down with RGB. I like RGB. I like RGB. But yeah, let's jumping back to Craigslist, and like I said, 1070s, if like Spider Rule says, well, I would only pay, $170 at most, and that's something you could start. Like this is a good thing when you're buying used. Unlike when you go into retailers' profit margins are already so thin, they don't have much room to bargain and negotiate lower prices. But when you're buying used, that option is always there. So let's say Spider Rules, you say, man, I only have $170. Maybe if I hit this seller up on Friday, I can put another 20 on it, and that'll put me at 190. I'll just go to them and say, hey, I got 190. Will you take 190 for that 1070? Or maybe 180. See what they say. Try to hold on to your money. Always bargain. The worst someone can say is no, right? And depending on which side of the fence you are, you might say yeah. Most sellers would be like, $220. Do I really want to miss a sale, lose out on a sale over $30? Maybe. If you're cash stacked and you don't necessarily need to sell it, you might say, yeah, nah, I prefer to get the full value. Or even if you need the money, you say, well, no, hey, I need the money. I need $220, right? Like life emergencies happen. So you say, I need $220 exactly. Or the seller might say, you know what? Yeah, I've had it for, I said, let's see how long this has been listed. This is another thing. Well, this was posted 5 hours ago. But sometimes some parts gestate for a while. And if it's been more than a week, that seller might be antsy to let it go. And at that point, they say, you know what? I've sat on this thing for a week when I've already listed it. I don't want to wait for, 20, $30. Yeah, I'll take your offer. Can you do 185, as a counter? Say, you know what? Yeah, I can do 185. I earmarked 195. I'm $15 over. But again, you saved money and you got a decent graphics card that's going to deliver as much as I don't like to say this, but it's going to deliver a console-esque experience at 1440p, being that you can game at 1440p at respectable graphic settings and get decent frame rates. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Just definitely be on the lookout for it will, you know what, I'm declaring now. It will publish on Monday. It will publish on Monday's VOD. And RTX someone says, "Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, I'm down with you. I was born in '85." RTX one says, I'm a haggling mofo. I'll offer him 60, a bag of chips, and a Dr. Pepper, and a ride down to the bus stop, right? Like all of it. I'm with you. I mean, I am both producer, consumer, buyer, seller, you know, or yeah, producer, consumer, buyer, seller. I ride both sides of the fence because while I enjoy making content and bringing this valuable information to you guys and gals, I very much like playing games too, and I still try to capture my value, right? I have a large size family. My family's pretty big, and I have an oldest that just stepped out of the nest. Damien says, I need all my money. I hear you. I'm with you. Same exact way. I need any savings you can get. Any and all savings, man. It matters. It matters. And in this case, what we keep regurgitating or keep bringing up, D, is that in the world of PCs, when we can have those savings, and more so, this is exclusive to the used market. When you can transfer those savings somewhere else. But this is just an example of how the used market can also be detrimental to to us used PC gaming or used parts enthusiasts, used enthusiasts. RTX1 says, great point. Mark that list and wait a week, come back to hit them up. Yeah, and that's exactly like if you're here in the States and you're available to Craigslist, favorite. I have a couple favorites. Some things I've been looking at for me personally. I'm like, you know what, this is going on, and one for an upcoming video. Oh, I have to hit that person up. This is gonna be fun. I have one for an upcoming video. It's gonna make for a great video. Something I've been wanting to do for pretty much since I started the channel. But Ryzen 5800X, $550. It's not as bad as we've seen them, right? I've seen them in excess of over a grand for 5800X, and it's a $449 CPU. This isn't marked up too bad, but still, it's very much there. It's like they want to make a profit on a new product, and this is where the used market ain't always good, but still very much valuable. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. But yeah, like RTX on said, you know, bookmark your listing, come back and see if it's still there. Sometimes some sellers will even reduce the price. I see this a lot on Facebook, Craigslist. I can't remember entirely if you can do it and you can see that the seller lowered the price, or you could just see that the price is just lower. But I mean, a 29-inch ultra wide monitor, I'm gonna bet that's 1080p. But a GTX 1060, this might not. Okay, well, it says used for 2 years, never overclocked, fully functional. $50 for a GTX 1060, 3 GB. Looks like it's OEM, right? Looks like it came out of an OEM system. But if you don't really care about looks, you just want a graphics card to game at 1080p, and maybe you have an APU, you don't have a lot of money. It's $50 if you were on the used market. That's insane used price of performance. It's a little hideous, but again, that's if your case is enclosed or you don't even really care about aesthetics, which I personally care about aesthetics. Most of you from just engaging in talk, we're all aesthetic people, but you don't necessarily need to build a good looking gaming PC to have a good experience, right? But even in a 750 Ti, this is what my wife uses for her to do her academics. She's a full-time student. To do her academics, and she's also an early ed teacher. So you would almost say this is even overkill, right? I mean, you could probably get away with integrated graphics, but $75 for a 7050 Ti. And ask yourself, well, if I just, if I've been gaming at maybe 720p, or maybe I want to enjoy 1080p low settings, because that's about what a 750 Ti gets you. Although I see her play Fortnite on it, and it's actually a great experience. But you saw the 1060 was $25 less. Something to keep in mind. We have power supplies, all kinds of different products, even all the way down to peripherals. Gaming mouse. I have the same Corsair RGB mouse pad. On the subject of RGB, it's the little things. And while I don't use it while my main setup, but I do use it. I did use it um, on the lower portion of the lab for like our test setup. It just adds a nice touch, and it's even more immersive when you're gaming in the dark, right? But again, of course, K70 keyboard, $75. That's a little high. That's a little high. I would definitely haggle that down at least 25 bucks. I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with haggling, as RTX mentioned, which jumping on. Spider Rules says he laughed at RTX one, but he's got a point though. Yeah, come back in a week and see if the prices drop. But RTX one says it's all part of the dance. I do it to buyers, then buyers do it to me. It's just the way it goes, right? Exactly, right? It's like a circle. It's just a revolving circle. But at the end of the day, I like that circle to go out, and you can think of it like a roundabout for our driving friends, right? Or not, no, you don't have to be a driver to experience a roundabout, but kind of like a roundabout. You can imagine if all of us going in a roundabout, but eventually somebody's got to get out. And the person that gets out is the one that gets the value of whatever's being circulated, whatever's going around in circulation. But RTX One says I'm about to sell a 970 for $75 to $80. It's a nice Strix model. I think that's a solid price. I mean, that's an awesome price. And I tell you what, I had a GTX 970. Let me switch back here. This is 100% facts. You can find this video here on the channel. It's where we compared a RX 570 to a GTX 970. That GTX 970, after it sat for so long, I went ahead and said, you know what, let's go ahead and see if we can get this in the hands of somebody who can really use it. And I listed it here on our local store, on our online store, and I listed it for $75 starting bid with a 24-hour bid. Somebody put a message in like 15, 20 minutes after the listing and said, "Will you take 90?" And I said, "Sure, why not? Pay for the shipping. I'll take 90. Go for it." Because I knew if the bid went on, it would creep up to $100. But again, I didn't want to lose out on the sale over $10, and a graphics card that was literally accumulating dust among graphics cards that are accumulating dust. But that's nor here or there. We got a lot of testing to do because the new market is essentially foobarred, right? And if you know the analogy, you know what we mean. But the used market is essentially foobarred, or the new market is essentially foobarred. I'm sorry, with the used market hopefully coming to save us, right? And then there's even some like motherboard i7 that's likely like it's like a fourth generation, okay, second generation Sandy Bridge quad core. $80 though for an i7 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Depending on the kind of game you play, which you want to make sure that the 2600K has all the latest AVX instruction sets that are compatible with whatever game you want to play. But for $80, and Laurel is a little far from me. But even if this seller wasn't, You figure you're getting 16 gigabytes of RAM and an i7 and a 2600K, a quad core, so it's 4 cores, 8 threads. But you'd still be able to play a lot of the modern games, especially if you want to play competitive games. But $80, I mean that's insane. If this was closer, I would maybe entertain this. Maybe see if they will be willing to come down between 15 to $20 just to even get more savings. To get more savings because if you want a game at a higher resolution, your CPU is very much still a factor, but less of it. So again, if 1440p is your target, and not necessarily high refresh rates. Maybe you're like me, you play SP games. I love single player games, but multiplayer games are okay. But yeah, I mean, Craigslist, check it out. If it's in your area, you can find, some pretty good deals on previous gen to middle to high end for generally within the same price threshold of what a used console would cost. And that's right. I said used console because we're going to talk about that a little further, a little further down the road. We're going to talk about, you know, if a gamer wouldn't necessarily want to build a gaming PC, but they still want to play all the regular games. Like I see here, RTX Owen made a comment about Cyberpunk. If you Cyberpunk is still going to be very much backward compatible with like the Xbox One S, OG Xbox One, which we all know that's really what kept holding up the game, trying to get it to run on an old potato console hardware. But you know, you could very much still pick up an Xbox One S or PS4 Pro, and you'll be doing it within the same price category that you would for some of these graphics cards we were just talking about, i.e., a GTX 1070. Which I want to jump over to eBay because again, for our friends who may not have a Craigslist. You can try eBay. You can also check out AliExpress or AliExpress. I'm not really sure how. I mean, to me it's Ally, my daughter's name. We shorten the I with the Y, but to me it's AliExpress. But you can also check AliExpress. They ship globally, and eBay also ships globally. You may have to eat some of the costs, but that's just the privilege of having these items kicked right to your door, and you don't have to worry about things like social distancing and wearing a mask and all the other good jazz and wearing gloves. Just getting your PPE down. But RTX1 says, I know a lot of homies are disappointed that not going to get to play Cyberpunk on Ampere or Big Navi. I knew guys full builds just waiting on a GPU and Cyberpunk, and now they are SOL, Sally. Yeah, and I keep seeing, I don't know how credible they are, how validated they are, but I keep seeing sellers make posts about, oh well, I bought a 5700 XT because I sold my RTX 2080 Ti because NVIDIA told me they were coming out with a $500 graphics card that was going to be 10 to 15% faster than my $1,200 graphics card. So the logic was sell your graphics card to downgrade to something slightly faster. They did. Launch came, and much to everyone's excitement or lack thereof, they shipped with no stock, and that left a lot of users, like you said, with nothing with no GPUs. So they went with alternate options, right? Like 5700 XTs, which is a graphics card that I do want to test here coming up because I still think the 5700 XT is the best value graphics card under $400 until there are better value graphics cards under $400 readily available at MSRP. Again, the keyword there is at MSRP. But looking at RTX On's comment says, I know a lot of. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I already read that. Bugging. But yeah, totally agree. They're SOL, and even to play Cyberpunk. I mean, they're just they. You can still. I think the RTX 2080 Ti is going to be good at 1080p, and we did have the Cyberpunk 2077 specs up, the minimum required for like ray tracing, and I don't have it prepared for this live show, but maybe I'll share it on my social. So again, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Shameless plug. Follow me on Twitter at Inside the Lab YT because that's where I'll likely share it. And be sure to give the stream a like if you haven't yet, or if you just joined us, be sure to give the stream a like. And if you aren't a subscriber here to the channel, I welcome you to subscribe. Hopefully, this live stream, I'll be entertaining, informative, and helpful enough to have earned your subscription. We are growing. We are growing, we are growing, and we are growing right on our way to unlock new milestones. I want to unlock things like stories and more so stories, and also channel memberships. Drexer 909K, interesting name, reminds me of like a 9900K. Which shout out to the 9900K. Still, to me, that's a very much underrated CPU. That's fam. I'm gonna tell you what, ladies and guys and gals, that's a whole nother topic for maybe even next week's live stream because man, the 9900K it's at Micro Center is $299 on Micro Center. You can't get your hands on a Ryzen 5000 series. This is kind of contradictory because we've done so much, content on the AM4 socket and its upgradability. We're going to continue that on more so on the 400 series and 500 series chipsets and the 300 series chipsets. But there's so much to be had within that general area. But and by area I mean going with lower, new options like the 9900K, which the 10700K is only about $20 more. That's at Micro Center though. Not everybody has the luxury of being within reach of a Micro Center, but Micro Center has really great prices. I would jump into it now, but it's not on today's docket. Maybe we'll say that for next live stream. So yeah, jumping back over to the chat. Your Highness says out of stock everywhere. Your Highness, glad to see you made it. I know we've talked a lot over in the comment sections here the past couple days. Good to see you, fam. Thanks for joining the live stream here. And Drexler says, can I plug a PCIe 3.0 GPU into a PCIe 2.0 motherboard? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's a great question. I just want to remind everybody that this is a not only our normal weekly Q&A, but I also want to throw in a bonus, if you will. Ask me anything. And by ask me anything, I mean it can be outside of PC help. Like Drexler had a nice comment. Can I plug a PCI 3.0 GPU into a 2.0 GPU? Yes, you can. And if you do run into problems, some motherboards allow you to change the generation that the PCIe lane is running on. So that could also very much depend on your motherboard and other circumstances. But yeah, this is also a impromptu ask me anything. My favorite movie, favorite song. Do I listen to rap? Do I listen to country? No. Do I listen to R&B? What's my favorite food? Do I like pizza? Do I not like pizza? What phone do I use? I'll do my best to answer any and all questions as we make our way during our live show. It's since we missed last week's live show, I wanted to try to do something a little special for you guys and gals. And I also do want to remind you for those who came on or who are just now coming on that be on the lookout. It's my birthday. This is my birthday month. My birthday is the end of this month, and I'm likely going to kick it with you guys and gals, play a game, even maybe enjoy a little bit of an adult beverage. If I do the poll, maybe I'll buy if I'm able to buy it in my area, I'll buy whatever I'm recommended to partake on during the live stream, and I'll also play any games that the audience recommends. So definitely follow me on Twitter to catch that notification, and it won't be a pop-up live stream. Like it'll be a scheduled live stream. You see it, but I do want to kick it, play some games, and maybe even enjoy an adult beverage or two. So if you're underage, don't come because that's not okay. So, but you can catch the replay, but yeah, don't come partake in it live. And Drexler says, I'm building a budget PC for my brother, and I just don't know. So thanks for the help. I mean, absolutely, Drexler. And if you have any more questions about the build process, please feel free to ask. We have, a couple helpful members of the audience, like RTX on and Your Highness and Sparta Rules. We're all here to help you answer any questions you may have. Even if I may not have the answer, someone in the audience, someone in the community definitely does and could help you out. So yeah, man, welcome to and best of luck. Let me know, let us know what parts are you going with for your brother's build resolution, games your brother may play. And if you have any other questions about the process of building a PC, right? Are you going with Ryzen? Are you going Intel socket, new, used? Do let us know. But let me jump back over here because I wanted to jump over to eBay and let me do this. Let's go RX, let's do a RX 580, 8 GB because they do have 4 GB variants. Spider Rule says, this is awesome. I'm watching your stream in VR. Oh man, that is dope. Wow. Now that's hot. That's hot. Listen to my Will Smith meme voice. I'm like, yeah, that's hot. That's hot. That's pretty dope, man. What an experience. Wow. Awesome. Live inside the lab, live VR style. But looking at a few RX 580s. Here goes, a new listing here. Power color, $160. Not bad. Like that. You're under what we were looking at for a GTX 1070, right? This is model's a little bland, like backplate is a little generic, but again, if aesthetics isn't the main driving force, take those savings. The RX 580 has matured with drivers. May not be as fast as the 1070 in some games, depends on the games you play, but there are other factors to take into consideration, like cooling, and I mean the EVGA 10 for the Win 1070. I think it has a nice aesthetic. I really do like the gray, the gunmetal gray. But I mean, you see it a few RX 580s priced at a decent rate. Sorry, but yeah, Spider Rule says it's like I'm in. Spider Rule says it's like I'm in a big movie theater. That's awesome because movie theaters are. I'm not sure how it is over there. I believe you're in Cali. I'm not sure how it is over there. Oh, you know what? I'm pretty sure your movie theaters are closed. Our movie theaters are all closed too. But and that's awesome as you're getting that movie theater like experience. Because my favorite movie partner, my wife. I mean, that's one of our favorite pastimes, going to the movies and seeing some of the newer DC movies. We like Marvel too, but we're more DC fans. And I like that Wonder Woman is releasing to HBO Max. I don't have it. Definitely going to get it now because that we'll be watching that on Christmas Day. But Drexler says, I'm thinking an i5 CPU and a GTX 660. I see you say 666 Ti since it's a budget build. Okay. So and so what kind of again? So is that to play like games like Fortnite, CS:GO, Dota, like less demanding games? But it's a great entry. It's a great entry point, especially depending on what i5 you go with. But I wanted to point out this Sapphire Radeon RX 580 because it's about at that price point where we talked about, where we said the GTX 1070 over 200 dollars might be a little too much, and that might be true for that seller where they were located, and that's closer to here if you're on the East Coast here, like in the Delmarva area. It's essentially where I'm at. Um, that might be fair. That might be fair market price for us. Much like this RX 580 is shipping from. Let's see where it's shipping from. It's shipping from PA, and again, that's close to me, Hanover. I could drive. I could drive here. Although they're shipping it for free, which I would save in gas, right, and just wear and tear on the vehicle. But it has free shipping, and it wouldn't take long to get here because I'm so close. See, December 10th. That's 5 days from now. But it's $190. Is this better than the newer options? What you could get now? Absolutely, positively not. But is it available? Absolutely, positively so. The RX 580 is a decent 1080p card, 1440p, but really depends on the settings. Which, speaking of, I see Drexler says Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege, GTA, things like that. Okay, yeah, definitely. Probably recommend your brother. Definitely go into his settings and try to check off any settings that may be CPU intensive, right? Or try to put most of that load on the graphics card if he's going to game at 1080p. And RTX On says any Vega cards listed. And no, you know what? I haven't seen any Vega cards like on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist RTX On. But here's what we're gonna do. Let's look. Vega 64 because you would want, in my opinion, you would want to go with the 64. But these are Power Hawks. These are Power Hawks, and seeing if we can find one that someone's selling. I see this one's a bid and it's 6 days at $173. If this bid gets anywhere close to, or if this is indicative of what someone may be, expected to let go of their Vegas 64 at $400, your best bet is to still very much go with a 5700 XT. Less power draw. I can't say this indefinitely, so don't quote me on it, but I'm also willing to bet it's faster. But this Radeon RX 64, RX 64. I kept wanting to say Nintendo 64. And I know RTX One's old head. I know you had some nights playing N64, cutting it up with your bros or sisters in Mario Kart 64 or Super Smash Brothers, right? Nintendo 64, I had some of my best gaming experiences on that console. But yeah, this Vegas 64 is going for $315. Now, that's not bad. That's not bad. Let's see where it's shipping from. This is shipping from Cali, right? Out there in some of our we have a lot of viewers here in Cali. But yeah, this is a reference model, single blower. I don't recommend a single blower, right? I don't recommend a single blower. They're loud, they're noisy. I mean, you can get away with it as they come mostly in a lot of OEM cases, but I don't really recommend single blower. Try to go with an aftermarket card or an AIB, that's add-in board maker card, like this Gigabyte Radeon RX Vega 64 with a 4-day bid at $202.50. But again, I mean, most of these are creeping up to the $300 to $400 range. Most of them that are in bids. Even this one is $349 or best offer. If you have, if you have a need, especially for that high bandwidth memory, it could pay off, especially if you're a content creator. The Mr. Zombified, what's going on? We got Mr. Zombified in the house. Another regular. It's good to see you. Man, it's great to be back live. The show, well, that's our meme scene. We'll go back to the meme scene. But it's good to be back live. It's good to see you and talk to you and just engage in fellowship. He says, what's Mr. Zombified says, what's up, all? What's up to the Mr. Zombified? Right? We're live and we're discussing the future, the state, the new norm of PC gaming, ways to circumvent these god awful scalpers. But it's good to see you, Mr. Zombified. Welcome to the show. And RTX1 says, I regret selling my Strix Vega 56. I mean, at the time, they were launched, really weren't competing, barely faster than the 1080, and took up, almost 30 to 40% more power. But yeah, he says it was just collecting dust. Well, you did the right thing. Because after a while, I'm like, it hurts me. I not only, enjoy this hobby, like I connect with the electronics, like I connect with the parts. I'm like, just sitting in the box collecting dust. That's no bueno, right? That's no bueno. You're either going to be used or there's somebody out there in the wild, somebody out there in the world that could benefit from, from this item, from this product. So, in my opinion, you did right, right? And also RTXO says Golden Eye N64 multiplayer fire. Man, if I had the air horn and I'd play it because absolutely, man, N64, you made friends, you made enemies, you lost friends, you gained enemies. When you weren't trying, I mean, everybody went for the golden gun. If you had to me, I was dusting and mopping cats with who had the golden gun. I was still getting K's on them. Like, man, N64, wow. And I think, it was in the making of being remade, but OG GoldenEye N64, in my honest opinion, that was the birth of multiplayer games. Not online because we were sitting in the living rooms, and it's my opinion that's when multi games were at their best. I know we had the screen peeking or whatever, but real G's didn't need that. We just went in and we got K's without the hack, without looking down to see where you were on the map. But that had to have been the precursor to even battle royale. Think about it. You started out in the map and everybody had to go off and get guns, get armor. I mean, GoldenEye N64, that was battle royale, right? Damn, did we just discover a new thing? Probably not. The game's been around for a while. I mean, I was maybe 10, 11 years old playing the GoldenEye N64, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old playing that, and the game was just lit. As part of the rule says, yeah, the game was lit. I mean, absolutely, game was fire. Game was fire. The Mrs. Zombie says, "Yikes! Don't get me started." Yeah, I mean, please do, please do. Please do. We're expanding the conversation. You kind of came right into that point. We were talking about the used market. And we were looking at eBay, and we jumped in and wanted to take a peek at Vega 64 and Vega 56. But please do. Drexler says, would the GTX 660 Ti work okay with an i5 3330 CPU? I mean, by okay, do you mean will it be compatible? Sure, it'll work. I mean, there won't be any bottlenecks between the two parts. I mean, is a third generation i5 more than fast enough for a 660 Ti, especially for some of them games you mentioned. Don't quote me on this, but 1080p could be in reach, but that'd be 1080p low settings. And the 660 Ti very much is it's like cutting. It's even 750 Ti for 1080p. It's still very much a 1080p low settings card. So just something to take into consideration. Manipulating your settings, achieving the balance between frame rates And most of those games you listed are competitive with the exception of GTA, unless your brother plays GTA Online. Most of those games have a competitive angle anyway, and most competitive games, most of the graphic settings are always turned to low anyway. So yeah, it'll work fine. Spider Rule says yes, that game was fire. Yeah, I mean that game was awesome. Game was awesome. But yeah, this Vegas 64, it'd be nice if they were going for under $300. But I mean, graphics cards right now in high demand across the spectrum. But you figure you would pay this or go with say a 5700 XT. But we chose eBay because we mentioned that, if you're in other parts of the world and websites like Craigslist, even OfferUp. I can't not ignore OfferUp. I don't really use OfferUp as much, but in the channel's first inception, one of the first videos on the channel, I actually believe it was the second video here on the channel that I did. The video was bad. Let me switch back here from eBay to share this with you. The video was bad, but the context was great. Like it has not aged well at all. It has not aged well at all. But the story is still very much golden, right? And I bought a PC. I think it was for like $25, Kim. We bought it off of OfferUp. It was a complete PC, and the lister didn't know if it worked, didn't know what was inside of it, had no anything to go on with anything about the PC. They knew it was in the basement, and they just wanted to sell it. And I said, "Oh man, this would be a nice video. Look at this computer. It needs to be clean." Holy cow. It needed to be clean is beyond what was wrong with this thing. Like, go back, if you will, and give that video a watch. Even kind of skim ahead in the video to find where I start to breaking down a computer and start cleaning it because there was like rat poop in there and just like rice and sunflower seeds, all kind of stuff. But the core of the parts end up worked, right? The spoiler alert into the video. The core of the parts worked. The motherboard worked, the RAM worked, the CPU worked, the cooler worked. The power supply didn't work. I ain't gonna tell you why. Man, the power supply didn't work, but if you're curious, go to my channel after the live stream, go to videos, tap, oldest videos, and you see it. It's like it's something to the thumbnail is something to the extent of like cleaning a $25 PC or something like that. Give it a watch. And Drexler 909K says, "Okay, thanks. That helps a lot. You're certainly welcome, fam. Again, keep the questions coming. I do want to remind you, for those who are coming into this to the stream, I see we're growing in likes up to 14. Let's see if we get the stream up to like 16 likes. That'd be awesome. But we're in double digit concurrent viewers, which is also awesome. I do want to remind everybody out there in the wild, do join in the chat. Let us know where you are, where you watching from. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, are you a first time viewer? Very welcoming community here. We welcome everybody from all builds, right? You're in the right place. You're in the right place. No scrutiny over here, fam. All builds are welcome. All backgrounds are welcome. This is also a Ask Me Anything on top of our normal topics that our live streams are constructed around. This is also very much an Ask Me Anything. Sorry to be like, repeating myself, but again, I want to open the floor. I am open to, any questions, whether that is PC gaming related or, tech related, what have you, personal questions. If you're just curious and want to know something about me, my favorite color is black. Or do I have a favorite TV show? Do I like sports? What's my favorite rap song, favorite R&B song? Anything. Ask. Go for it. The floor is open. It's going to be open during the whole live stream. Kick in. I always love to jump over to the chat to see what's going on. Like I see, RTX1 says some of them old Dell Optiplexes can make quick budget PC bangers. Absolutely, and this is something I saw one of the larger tech tubers that I follow that inspired me to jump into this because he's Australia based and I'm here states bound. So we got the same we're saying the same thing just in two different parts of the world, right? And I saw that in those Dell Optiplexes, and you're absolutely right. I mean, once if sometimes libraries and schools they're willing to let go of those systems at a large rate, or sometimes even in a donated form. If you're just willing to haul those bad boys out of there, and man, you can really find some solid value with those Dell Optiplex, especially when you pair it with a compatible motherboard, because that is something to take into consideration with OEM boards, is making sure that it's compliant with the graphics card. I've seen horror stories with that, but they definitely do make for you know, some solid budget options, especially if you just need like motherboard CPU. Or you can get DDR3 compliant ECC registered DDR3 memory, but especially if you just need the core based motherboard CPU, you got a lot of room to go in different directions with just those two core components. Everything else will remain the same regardless of the CPU and motherboard you went with. The power supply, you want to make sure you have enough to cover, your core components, GPU, CPU, and loads, and any storage you may have, your graphics card, and memory. If you're on DDR, if you're on a DDR3 plat, then you of course going to look at DDR3, and making sure your GPU, whatever the GPU you go with, is actually within close or within the same generation of your CPU. Like Drexler mentioned, going with a 660 Ti and a third generation i5. Han Slomo says, yeah, Han Slomo in the house from China. What's up, fam? Wow, all the way over on the other side of this beautiful planet. It's good to see you, man. What's up, Han Slomo? Thanks. I'm glad you caught alive. We are here discussing, that used price to performance at this segment of the live show, talking about the Ask Me Anything and just answering questions, fellowship, engaging, trying to catch up with the community because we were on holiday break, and I also had to get a new mic because the last one kind of broke. So, and it was kind of at the last minute, and I had to go and physically get one because getting one shipped to me would have just took too long. So we're here getting caught up. This is also an Ask Me Anything Han Slow-Mo. So like Han Slow-Mo, Drexler, RTX Owens, Sparta Rules. Anybody, I see we have double digit viewers. If you're here and alive, rather, you know me in person, you know me outside of YouTube. Because I know some of my friends and family follow me here on the channel. Some of them popped in. But even if you know me, and you know me from Facebook, and you know me from Twitter, and there's something you always want to ask me, and you didn't have this opportunity, like in a live format, definitely, ask me in the chat. I'm answering 90% of the questions that come down the pipeline. Just keep it, PG-13 in all due respect, because this is a family-friendly community, right? I take it and akin to like a border between like the Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and like Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Somewhere in between there, if that makes any sense to you. But Drexler says, if you could recommend me to upgrade the CPU or GPU first. It's a good question, Drexler, and I would say what I would recommend is start with what you can afford to upgrade. That all depends on how much money you have that you're willing to, or how much money you have, what you're trying to get out of the upgrade. Those two things. Let me repeat. How much money you have and what you're trying to get out of the upgrade. Is it your goal to get more frames in a specific game, or is it your goal to up your resolution or your graphic fidelity? Those two things will make the determination on which one should I upgrade first. Rainbow Six Siege, I believe, was one of the games you said your brother played. And I knew the other one was GTA 5. There was another competitive one. Help me remember it. But Rainbow Six Siege, you can play on a potato. And again, most competitive games aren't dependent on high graphics. But if you wanted more frames, then obviously going with a CPU would be what I'd recommend first. If more frames output to be more competitive, go with go with upgrading your CPU. In that case, I mean, you could search like third generation i7, maybe see if pick one up. We'll jump over here in the eBay here in a second. Tell you what, let's go there now, not the meme scene. But you can maybe say an i7 3770K if they're out there, right? I'm not sure where you're located at, but $135 for going up from a i5 33, and you're getting hyper threading, could very much help you achieve that goal. But is this, or would this be out of your price range? Say you only have $100 to upgrade. Any significant upgrade may or may not really benefit you. You may need to add to that pile, right? Maybe you would want to consider going with upgrading the platform. That's what I'd recommend. Because if you're going to say, hey, lab, I got, my brother, we saved up 150 USD or 160 USD. We really want to upgrade. I may even point you in the direction of going with like a Ryzen 2200G or a 3300X or something to that extent. and making a platform jump and switching to like DDR4 memory and other new features could even be a better option. But typically, when you want to upgrade your graphics card, you either want to increase the resolution you play at or the fidelity of your games. So you want to play at a high setting. I personally like, playing with my games with the settings turned all the way up high. I am a graphic monger. I like good graphics in games. I also This is one of the reasons why I game at at an ultra wide quad HD, 3440 by 1440p. I do like graphics in my games. So that was one of the things I considered when I was considering a upgrade, not for the channel, like not to create content for the channel, but a personal upgrade for myself for the games that I play. And a lot of the games I play again are single player, so they're more so focused on the overall the overall experience, right? The overall world. A lot of them are open world games. That's just they're just so popular. Like I do look forward to playing Cyberpunk 2077, but the highest graphics card that I have here in the lab right now, the highest level graphics card I have at the moment is an RTX 2080 Ti. So if I did either a test and even play the game, although I don't use the RTX 2080 Ti, I use an RTX 2080, MSI Gaming RTX 2080. I don't use the 2080 Ti. Talking about collecting dust, I more so run our test on there, even the ones where I haven't published content on there, but I had the premise of wanting to create content for it. And Sparta Rule or Drexler, let me go back to you saying price range max $300 for upgrades. That's actually a really good, a really good upgrade path, right? And if this is at 1080p, I would recommend so you won't run into any bottlenecks. Definitely upgrading your CPU. Definitely upgrading. Like if you could do it in two steps, $300, dude, you can grab a Ryzen 2600 and a decent B450 motherboard, maybe even a B550 motherboard, and very much still a previous generation Ryzen CPU. Still go with the 660 Ti. You could very much maybe see a reverse bottleneck where the GPU, it's dependent on the resolution you play at, but that will put you in a position to get the most out of the upgrade with your $300 because getting a new graphics card could maybe make the situation worse. And going back up, I see we had a few people welcoming Han Slomo from China. RTX1 says shout out to Han in China. Welcome, right? Yeah, welcome Han. Thunder says welcome to Han Shlomo. Every time I see it, I want to be like Shlomo. RTX1 says I see people throw 4 GB 580s, 16 GB DDR3, and an old i5 or the i7 A7 sell them like hotcakes, 200-300 all day long, especially with Fortnite explosion. Yeah, absolutely. I see it too. And I got this CPU here. We did a video on. Normally I try to, for like memory reasons, I try to keep, and the camera may get all funky and like, you know, focus on it, but this is an i7 940, and you'd be surprised at how well even this still performs for its time, and how it could still perform playing or running games like Fortnite, especially if someone or a gamer just want to jump in and say, "Hey, I want to grind, I want to get better, I want to work on." Familiarizing myself with just the platform of gaming on a PC. It's a lot at first. It can be overwhelming. It's one of the reasons why most people don't make the leap. But once they get in there, they very rarely go back. They may have a console to complement their PC, like to play with, to play with their mates or to play with their bros or their sisters. They may have a console for that reason. But for the most part, I have really yet to talk to someone in any form of serious conversation that said, I had a PC, I didn't really like it, I went ahead and went back to gaming on a console. But it is very much overwhelming at first. But once you get over that hurdle and you get comfortable with your system, especially if you built it, I know it's nerve wracking. We talked about that during last week's live stream. I know you built it, but once you get over that hurdle and you prepare yourself for the process, if you will, it's an amazing experience. And you don't want to go back to consoles. I know I sure don't. I haven't played a console in years. Most of you know my transfer back to PC because I played on PC when I was younger. But growing up, with a single parent, growing up in a single parent, my mother was, single mother, we couldn't afford those things. I had to go over other friends' houses to play PC games and to experience PC gaming. So I am appreciative of those friends, and most of you know who you are. But that's how I had to enjoy PC gaming until I was of age to start making money doing things like mowing lawns and cutting grass or just running errands, taking people's trash out or what have you. That's how I was able to get into it. But you could get away, like you said, with that old i7 and A70, and you'd be good all day, like you said, all day long, and only really upgrade it when you outgrow your parts, right? For example, Drexler, when your brother's ready to, don't upgrade immediately. Let your brother outgrow those parts. Keep adding to that pool because really you could benefit the most by keeping whatever case you guys are going to be sold on. And investing in by future proofing your power supply, keeping one that's has a decent rating and that could at least power any future components you may be. A good start would be between 500 to 600 watts is usually a good decent sweet spot. But your storage, your case, your all those things, your power supply unit, keep adding to the pool to upgrade the three things that matter the most: the platform, CPU memory. So two things: CPU memory and GPU, your graphics card. But I want to get caught up on some of the comments. Because Han Solo says, doing some PC hustling here in China. AMD is pretty much the favorite in the market. I am from Germany, by the way. Oh, okay, awesome. Right, okay, cool. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder what's it like living over there in China. But I could see why AMD is popular. I mean, even here in the States, you do come across the occasional gamer. They're like, oh, but Intel is better, right? They're caught in the previous Intel hype, and arguably now that's very much not the case if you're going for new Ryzen, for Ryzen 5000. But in my opinion, Zen Plus, Zen 2, that's where it's at. That's where it's at, friends and fam. Don't sleep on Zen 2 and Zen Plus's price and performance, especially when you can go with still a 500 series chipset. Upgrade when this normal Ryzen 5000 stock normalizes. But that's awesome. Yeah, love the PC hustle, man. Mad respect. I love when you guys and gals share your PC hustle adventures with me. That is awesome. Keep it up. Stay safe over there too. And Spider Rule says, I'm doing a beginner PC build for my little brother. I wanted to see what you think. Okay. Spider Rule, share the specs that you're doing. Share the specs or, share the deets. Drexler says, yeah, $300 for the price upgrades. Yeah, that's a really good starting point. But if you want to go, do it in pairs, take that $300 and research a decent B550 or B4. Here's what I recommend: research a decent B550 motherboard and or a B450 motherboard. Look at a Zen 2 CPU, Ryzen 2000 series. 2600 is what I would definitely recommend. It's a 6 core, and for him to play those games, which I believe Rainbow Six Siege does take advantage of the extra cores and threads, and GTA 5 does as well. Take advantage of those, motherboard prices dropping a little bit, but do it in pairs. And then take that money and say, look at a 1650 Super. Don't go there now, but you can find. I did a review of the 1650 Super, one of my favorite videos here on the channel. I know some of you watched it because I've talked to you on that video, right, on the comment section of that video. So I know a lot of you watched it. And Drexler 909K, I'm not sure if you have, but check out the 1650 Super because while I didn't test Rainbow Six Siege, I did test similar games and even more graphically demanding games. And that graphics card right now, I believe, is going for either a little over $200. At the time of recording that video, I paid $189 for it. So you figure if you had $300 and you say in about 2 months or a month, which is more than enough time for your brother to even just jump in and get in the PC game and outgrow his parts, you can add to that pool and say, you know what, we can maybe get a 1650 Super or a 1660, which is a little over $200 graphics card, 6 GB graphics card, and that way he could enjoy higher graphic fidelity. The total upgrade for you would be at least 500 USD, because I'm not sure where you're located at, but at most you would look at it be about a $500 USD upgrade, and that's still very much solid. Right now you can't find a $500 graphics card. That would maybe be one step lower, and you would settle on a 5700 XT. You can't find a $500 CPU that's going to offer the proper value for its price. But you make those smaller increments, your brother would definitely notice the performance difference off the bat, like hands down, going from a third generation i5 to a Ryzen 5 2600, 16 gigabytes of 3200 CL16 memory, and a 1650 Super. Han Slomo says, I just sold a B450 and 3400G plus 16 gigabytes 3200 system for around 350 USD, including case fan. That's an incredible price, man. Whoever, your customer, shout out to them. Kudos to them for being able to capture and you be able to provide them with that much value because that is insane. That's really good value. I mean, that's, for those of you who know, it's an APU. The G is what the G stands for. So it does, but the Vega, I believe it's Vega 12 onboard graphics. It's still very much decent for 1080p low settings, but that's an insane sell there. And good buy for them because they could pick up again a 1650 Super. That's ironic because it's kind of along the lines of what we would recommend Drexer 909K to look at. But a 450 watt power supply unit, yeah, you stay with a graphics card that doesn't have a high TDP at load, you can get away with having a decent system under $500 that's going to be smashing console performance. Art, Ron, I know Ron Richards says good night over blues. Star Wars RTS was the goat, was the greatest of all time. Yeah, and Myron is a lifelong friend of mine. We went to high school together. We cut the rug together, and we played a lot of PC games together. Age of Empires is ironically one of the ones I'm surprised you didn't mention, Myron. But we played Age of Empires a lot, and we played Jedi Outcast a lot. We played Warcraft, Remember Priston Tale? We played Priston Tale a lot. I mean, wow. I mean, yeah. Blue put us on to a lot of PC games, and Blue was a friend of ours at the time. We all went to high school together, and we would go over his house, and we'd stay up playing games, and we'd also play on our Dreamcast, Power Stone. But yeah, man, that was really good times. And yeah, the Star Wars RTS. I'm trying to think of the name, but yeah, we did play that a great deal. Man, if you somebody help us out in the chat. Tell us if you can remember the Star Wars RTS from back in the day, which I see we're at 17 likes, y'all. That is insane, fam. That is insane. If you're here yet and you haven't, definitely be sure to give the stream a like, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do be sure to subscribe here to the channel. Hopefully, this live stream I would have earned your subscription and not no source more so just me, asking, hey, subscribe, hit the shiny red button. No, hopefully I have earned your subscription, earned, you know, your your availability here in our community. Your Highness, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, side eye. Okay, I believe that's a side eye. Sparta Rule says it has a Ryzen 3600 NZXT cranking 120, a 500 series 500 series motherboard, 3600 megahertz RAM at 16 gigabytes with a GTX 1660 Ti, 520 gigabytes SSD, 2 terabytes hard drive, and the Corsair 4000D and a 750 watt power supply unit. I mean, it's a very fairly balanced system. It seems along the lines of a pre-built because that's what I'm seeing in a lot of pre-builds like the 1660 Ti, especially from NZXT, and that's because I think there's a lot of overstock on 1660 Ti's. It's one of the graphics cards that I recommended a while back, a few live streams ago. We talked about the 1660 Ti. Incredible performance for the money. They're readily available right now, and the Ryzen 3600 is a CPU I call is a slightly underperforming, souped up 8700K. The 8700K is what I use for my main system here. I have my eyes set on a 9900K strictly because I edit my videos on this system, and I edit them at 1080p. We haven't yet made the 4K switch, but we will. Man, 2021 is going to bring some amazing magic to this channel. That is going to be our year. I know the world is turned upside down quite literally, but 2021 is going to be our year here for this community and for this channel. Looking to upgrade it in terms of like audio, visual, our live stream format, all of those things. But um, but yeah, it's a very very well rounded system. Sparta Rules, very well rounded system. I mean, the 1660 Ti you can even game in 4K, right? 4K low settings. It has enough VRAM. Han Shlomo says, feels pretty safe here actually. The MSM portraying, let's say, not a realistic picture. Considering my next chapter may be in the US, we'll see how crazy it gets. Awesome. Well, yeah, man, come on over to the States. We welcome you here. Hopefully it doesn't, though. Either way, do be safe out there. But Drexler says, I had two 1 terabyte drives, so I took one out of my PC and put it in his for now till his drives come in. Okay. Um, and I hope you're going with an SSD. It's something we recommend. Go with an SSD for the boot drive. At least I'm not sure what you're going to go with. Those three games don't take up a lot of space and really wouldn't even take up 500 gigabytes of storage, really. But if you're going with a dual storage system, say like a hybrid SSD slash HHD or hard drive, one for redundant backup and then one for primary, right? Install at least the games he plays the most. Install that on SSD and install Windows on SSD. So I recommend, especially if cost cost is a concern. Having an SSD could be one of the essential, most important upgrades you can make. It's so underrated, but I keep wanting to point this out, and I will here because we're going to do the build we did here recently is essentially a used build, but we are going to do fresh, brand spanking, out of the box builds here new and a couple series on them. I'm going to show the significance of booting and load times and just overall system responsiveness compared to a hard drive and an SSD. I highly recommend you get an SSD and install your OS, install Windows 10 on the OS. Install games you don't play as much on your hard drive, but if space is an issue, you can definitely still go with the hard drive. But mechanical drives can be a bottleneck in games. Drexel says, "Okay, you are located in the U.S. Awesome. So yeah, you can take advantage of sites like Craigslist and see, and try to and capture that used price to performance is what we call it. And if you have any questions about shopping on the used market anytime, be sure that you're following me. All of our viewers here, be sure that you're following me on Twitter. I'm always active on Twitter. And right now I'm running a special. But if you follow me on Twitter, at me, let me know you came from the channel. Even if you're here watching on the replay, at me, tell me you came here from the channel, and I will follow you back. I don't follow everybody back on Twitter because I really believe that Twitter still very much is a interconnected site. You want to follow and follow back people you either have interest in or you want to follow their brand. And in my case, the Inside the Lab Twitter page is essentially the brand page with a little bit of your host, myself, personality. So this is why I don't follow everybody back. But right. It doesn't even matter. I really appreciate all of you coming into the live streams and watching the videos. You're going to be following the brand and you're going to be following me on a personal level. I want to follow you in the same regards, even if you're not running a brand. So definitely follow me over on Twitter and I will give you a follow back. Let me get caught up on the chat before we keep going a little bit because RTX on said which 1650 had 6 gigabytes of Super or Ti. I thought one model did. And that's the 1660 Super, not the 1650 Super very much only has 4 gigabytes, but it's the 1660 Super that has 6 gigabytes of VRAM. Jarge, welcome to the live stream. I don't think we've seen you. I don't think we've seen you here. Welcome to the live stream. Jarge says, "Who else secured the GPU bag this week?" Well, we're gonna assume that you were one of the lucky ones. Jarge, tell us what you found because as it stands, most of us are either sold on the GPUs we're using. I know RTX On has an RTX 3080. I'm trying. I'm not having great luck. I tried 1201 midnight to buy an RTX 3070. I figured that was the most balanced card to run tests on. I don't need an RTX 3070, but again, I need it for the community to test to see its value, to see its worth, and compare it to some of the other options, right? That's out now. But yeah, not me, right? And Mrs. Amify said the 6900 XT, or I'm sorry, no, let me go back up. Chat keeps jumping. The Mrs. Zombified says losing faith on scoring at 6900 XT. Might wait until everything calms down. I'm with you. And while the 6900 XT looks like an impressive graphics card, especially if it's going to be great for video encoding, although I use Adobe Premiere, so it takes it benefits from the CUDA cores and um, GPU acceleration through the iGPU on my 8700K. But I'm with you. It's going to be like I said earlier in the live streams. I'm not sure if you were with us, but I said it was going to be a paper. I said it's already out of stock. I know it launches in what 3 days. It's already out of stock, right? The 6900 XT is already out of stock, and we know this. Sparta Rules says, I think you missed my PC specs for my little. I think you missed my PC specs for my little brother's build. It's just a beginner PC for my brother. No, I saw it at the Ryzen 5 3600 and the 1660 Ti. It's a great entry level build. What type of games does your brother play? Sparta Rules. That's also important to know too. He plays games like Fortnite. I mean, you can be in the 240 hertz range with those settings because you can, play at competitive settings, if you will. But I mean, you'll be well over the 240 range, so you're within competitive specs. And I mean, the 1660 Ti, could it can run at 1080p, especially anything you throw at it. But it's a great beginner PC, great starter PC. Jars to Mrs. Amfi said the 6900XT is a pipe dream until second quarter 2021. We all agree, Jars. I mean, scalpers have made it extremely difficult for everybody, but we agree 120% with you, fam. That's why I said a couple minutes ago, it's essentially already out of stock. My experience with trying to buy an RTX 3070 at launch at midnight, it was already on eBay at midnight. I kid you not. I could not find one. I was up all night. You go to my Twitter, scroll down a couple days ago, you'll see me posted at 12:01 about, RX 37. I think I said tweeted. I said RTX 3070 today, AMD RX 6700 XT tomorrow, next week, because I really feel like AMD and NVIDIA, regardless of stock, they're going to trade paper blows right now to see who could capture the imaginations of lower end, gamers who are more budget conscious with their buys, regardless if they're available or not. They're still going to launch them. These are all paper launches, ladies and gentlemen. But I agree with you. Pipe dream, all of it. 6800 series, RTX 30 series, pipe dreams. Unless you go over and entertain scalper prices, which we just will not. We just will not. RTX1 says, get them 2021. The next gen rolls out in 2022, FML. You know Super Series 30 series are coming. There's also very much still the rumored RTX 3080, 3080 with 20 gigabytes of VRAM. Either way, we're going to see a refresh in between and very much could see refresh Ryzen 5000 series CPUs. But I mean, that's why it's always, this is why the used market sometimes always viable, except for the great, the GPU apocalypse when the miners had everything. I mean, us PC gamers, we can't catch a break. For most of you, we talked about this. We had the miner wars to deal with, right? When we were battling the miners, we had the memory shortage we had to deal with. When memory was priced insane, you think the graphics cards are a problem now? I mean, memory was through the roof. I had a 32 gigabyte Corsair memory kit that we used during the Core Shredder series, and we used doing some of the Ryzen tests because it had a better XMP. But that memory kit was worth like $800 at the time. Like memory DDR4 memory was through the roof. And then now we got the scalpers that's come over from the shoe market. Now we got the scalpers and their digital army of bots that we got to fight and deal with. This fight is a little harder because of an obvious virus that's also wrecking the world and just slowing down the supply, the supply machine. So there's just dual front war with, and that is the bane of scalpers. They are horrible, horrible, horrible for sure. But yeah, and then Mrs. Fight agrees, says, yeah, Jards, looks like that for sure. I totally agree, totally agree. Spider Rule says, please don't happen. We can beg all we want, but this looks like is what it is what it is. And RTX on says, yeah, that's congrats. Or did Josh tell us what he got? Oh, okay, yeah, I got the 6800 XT Red Devil Limited Edition. I got lucky on Newegg. It's coming on the 14th. Yeah, man, congrats. Great card, great performance. Let us know. Do definitely be sure to subscribe. Let us know how that variable refresh rate shading goes for with the DirectX 12 Ultimate Suite, and ray tracing when it should be available now or it's not yet available when it does become available. It's something I want to test too. If I go with an RTX 3070. Still riding the ray tracing fan. I am very much a fan of ray tracing. I'm for ray tracing, but that's what's up. Good stuff. Spider Rule says I'm low key salty. It's all good. I'm with you. And Jer says, guys, it was a random F5 press, 100% luck. Thanks, brothers. Yeah, luck was on your side. Lady Luck was on your side. Congrats, Jards. It's an awesome card. Awesome card. Hans Lomo says got both just a few days after launch. Just the Sapphire 6800 XT reference, but it's a beast. That's awesome too. So we got two 6800 XT brothers in the house. So that's the 16 gigabyte. They all have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, but the 6800 XT is the most balanced of the graphics cards that came within this bevy of graphics card launches. And even at the poll we ran, it was the leading front runner of the options where I asked which of these graphics cards would you want me to AMD graphics cards that you would want me to test would you be the most interested in me testing? And the 6800 XT was kicking butt. So from a non-personal, from more of a reviewer perspective, if if it's looking like the 6800 XT is the more popular, graphics card to pursue other than the 3070 and even the 3060 Ti that's popped up, right? The 3060 Ti has entered the chat, but you won't find it unless you're going to pay scalping prices, which I tell you what, before I jump back, let's jump back over here. I'm all caught up in the chat. Let me make sure I got everybody's questions and comments. But Jar says the reference card are beast, especially if you got it at MSRP. You got the collector's benefit and the proper price. Yeah, and the reference model is really dope. I really like what AMD did with the reference. This would be the year I'd buy a reference model. Normally, I'm against reference models unless I have plans on doing a water cooling it and putting it on a block. But I like the reference coolers on the 6800 series more than I like the cooler on the RTX 3000 series. Unpopular opinion. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I really don't like the way the reference coolers look on the RTX 3000 series. Not a fan. Pun not intended either. But yeah, I mean when you can get it at MSRP. I mean that's amazing. And yeah, the AMD reference design is very much sexy. I like it. It's cool. It's cool. They really did good. They really did good on that. Drexler says, I gotta go, but I love the help. Thanks a lot, and I look forward to joining back later. Absolutely. Do be sure to subscribe, Drexler, if you're not. Do be sure to subscribe. We go live, and we will be going live every Saturday, right? I kind of like this time. I know it's late for a lot of our other regulars, but it seems we got good interaction. And I see Ron says, all right, brother, I'm out of here. Good live, man, and have a good night. Sure thing. I'll be probably rapping with you sometime on a more personal level between now and tomorrow. And RTX1 says, haha, not a fan. Yeah, I see what you did there, Mr. Slick. Yeah, totally, totally not a fan. But, you figure I wanted to look at 3060 Ti's before we go ahead and go and head towards the end of the live stream. And, I mean, rather this is authentic or not, it says read description, so I don't know. I'm not even going to click on it. $799, $400 buy it now. It's actually not that bad, right? Because that's what it's going for normal price. But I mean, you have to take into consideration that there could also be scammers. See, this one here is $800, but yeah, very much being scalped. I mean, RTX 3070s too. RTX 3070s too, still very much being scalped. $497 buy it now. Actually, not that bad. $497 buy it now. So they're coming down. See, this one's $800, $900, which like wow. But it is an add-in board and high-end AIB card, so that could also be one of the factors why. But all in all, eBay is a good choice if you're not looking for an RTX card because you're going to pay buku money. But if you wanted to go with the used graphics card, there are sellers that are private sellers, just people just listing their items on eBay to sell it, and then there's brands on eBay, right? That are selling them from the perspective of a brand. They're not just wanting to let it go. They sell multiple parts. I have an eBay store. It's part of my local business here. It's not tied to the channel. Excuse me. Totally different, totally separate from what we do. But yeah, eBay. If you're global, if you're global, do a little bit of research on the parts. Do a little research on the parts before you buy it, and that way you know the value relative to their performance. It's good if you want to know how well a 1660 Ti performs. Jump into YouTube, plenty of benchmark specific channels that just post benchmarks of graphics cards. Just get an idea of how it will perform. Also relative to the type of games you play. Try to see, and that way you'll know what to expect. And you can also determine the parts value based off how well they perform, especially with modern games. That's important. But also and speaking of games, it's also important to take a look at the games you want to play, right? Especially at minimum recommended specs. Take a look at the games you want to play and do so before deciding on your next purchase, right? Because you don't want to end up like any of these memes, right? Like you don't want to end up on like any of these memes. Have jump over to the chat while you guys enjoy our meme scene. Get a kick at some of these memes if you haven't seen them yet. Spider Rules gives us a cold ghost face. Not sure why. And Haslomo says, thanks. Had to contact some local dealer to secure buy, but yeah, got lucky. I have to mention that China prices in general are higher than US, guess because of tariffs. And I believe you're absolutely correct. Tariffs do make those cards like drives up their costs significantly, significantly. And Jard says used picture, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I mean, use in general. We consider ourselves use PC enthusiasts here, but um, but yeah, we're getting kick out some of my memes here. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, and Han Shlomo says if the chat, sorry, there's a little bit of delay. So if I'm responding to the chat's a little behind because I'm seeing them, um, and there's a little delay to my response. But Han Shlomo says wrenching it and just my H1 with some LCD screens for temps and low specs will post on Insta. Yeah, and I know I follow you on Instagram, and if you don't have a Twitter and you might have an Instagram, this it falls suits for all the socials. Obviously, with the exception of Facebook, it's so personal. That's mostly for like most of the people I know in person. But sites Instagram, Twitter, especially those two sites, because those are the sites I'm on real heavy. If you're on there, send me a DM, and I'll definitely give you a follow back, especially on Instagram, and I can, we can follow along your journeys in the form of pictures. It's an awesome level to awesome way to connect. I'm sorry. And RTX1 says, anybody know what 3D Mark times by the 3060 Ti graphics score was? I have not seen it. I didn't even watch any reviews myself. I may read up on it because normally myself I will more so read a product launch as opposed to watching a video. As a content creator, it allows me to like focus in on some of the key points of the product if I'm not able to get my hands on it. I la a 3090. I didn't review it. I didn't have one, and it's not really for everybody. But even the RTX 3080, and even then, I would be very conflicted because it's hard to review and recommend products that just aren't readily available to to consumers. It makes it very difficult to recommend, but I am unaware. If I do find it, I'll try to post it on Twitter, RTX on. I'm not sure if you're on Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, but we can maybe find that out. RTX on says been tweaking and benchmarking my card. Core clock and memory clock. Nice. What's the max? What's your max frequency you've been able to lock in so far on both the core clock and memory clock? Do let us know. And Spider Rule says shocked face because you don't like the look of the RTX 3000 series reference cards. Yeah, I know it's an unpopular opinion. I honestly admit I get it. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Even if I did want a 30 series cards, a 30 series card. I would definitely get a reference model. I more so like the 20 series reference design than if I were to go with a reference barrier from NVIDIA. They're normally better bend, so it is good to go with it. Like nothing wrong with going with the reference model. Like I'm okay. I like the 20 series reference models, but here recently I've always gone with add-in board cards because I like to overclock, and normally their coolers are a little bit more robust, but that may change because the 6800 XT cooler, with its three-fan shroud is amazing, and the RCX 30 series has a custom way. I believe it's on the 3080 because the 3070 both the fans are underneath, but like the 3080 on up, it has a unique fan system to bring in cold air and shoot cold air out. So that may change, and that remains to be seen because also add-in board cards are marked up a little higher. And RTX one says, I don't care for reference 3000 cards either. Yeah, it's not like it would have been hard for me to match a system unless it's like a black and gray system. But even then, it's not for me. I can't get with the RTX 3000 series. That's a preference thing though, understandably. And Han Slomo says Twitter and YouTube are so not reliable in China. Happy if you all find me there. Wow. And that kind of sucks me. I know, China has, a lot of restrictions on, their internet traffic and things you have access to. But Hey, Han Shlomo, wherever you can find us at, we're here. We're here, brother. Wherever you can find us at, let us know. We'll find you, we'll find us, and we'll stay connected. RTX One says 2090 megahertz on the core, plus 110 and plus 100,000 on the mem, hitting 18,500 on 3D Mark time spy score. That's actually pretty good. Not a bad overclock. Nice. What's your max temperature? Let us know what your max temperature was too, and if did you use a custom fan curve? That you just set it to like did you lock in a manual fan curve? Oh, and look at that, we hit 20 likes. I do a little dance, no music, just a dance. 20 likes, y'all. I said 16, we hit 20, right? Don't laugh at my dance, but we hit 20 likes. That's awesome, man. Thank you to everybody who gave the stream a like. If you came in, let us know you're here in the chat, right? Because I see Just Samson. Just Samson came in. Just Samson comes into the live streams the same way every time. You gotta love it. What's up, Just Samson? It's good to see you, brother. Another mate from another community, and it just goes to show how awesome YouTube is. I mean, like I've met people, I've met subscribers from other communities that have came into this community and have just networked and have talked and everything. And it's just awesome. So yeah, all right, Just Samson, welcome, man. It's nice to see you. Nice to see another. I believe Just Samson too, over in Cali, a little bit more California love. And RTX1 says my card is basically a reference PCB with a traditional three-fan design. That's right, because you have the RTX 3080. I can't remember which variant. And Thunder says 21. All right, so I might be on a little delay, but I see 20 on my end. But heck, if we had 21, even better. If it refreshes on my end, I'll kick back and I'll do a different dance. Maybe even stand up. Man, it runs cool. It really goes over low 60C. Ooh, I love that, man. I love overclocking. Overclocking, it's so niche. I think in my opinion, the audience likes the thrill of the journey of overclocking. They're like waiting for the fail. But I really want to do more overclocking content on a channel, especially with like older hardware, because that's one of the benefits to like an everyday stable overclock. It's one thing to go for like a 3D Mark or a Time Spy, score, because that benchmark stresses the system in a very specific way. But just overclocking, especially on the CPU and the GPU, just getting that little bit of extra performance, especially on older parts, when and where applicable, can be the difference sometimes in either achieving decent frame rate, even if you're trying to go for like console level frame rates and you want to be somewhere between like 20 to 30 or 30 to 50, if you want to hit it somewhere with like low settings but 1080p. um Go back up. It's just saying, says, what up inside the lab? Yeah, what's up, man? Welcome to our live stream. We missed last week because we were on, here in the States with American Thanksgiving. It was a holiday. On top of that, I had to order, I had to get a new mic. So we were catching up from, we're catching up from not having a live stream last week. I'm also doing an Ask Me Anything, Just Samson. So, if and anybody here that's in the chat, or even if you're in a replay, if there's any questions non-tech related, even if you want to ask me on a personal level, I'm open to answering at least 90% of the questions that come down the pipeline. We haven't really had any though. Come on, hit me with some. Give me some. Whoa, 26 likes. I do the money dance. 26 likes. That's got to be a record, y'all, on the live streams. Don't laugh at my dancing, okay? If you laugh at my dancing, it's going to ruin the mood. But we hit 26. If we hit 30, I'll do it even more extreme dance, right? But that's awesome. 26 likes on a live stream. We just broke a record because we've never had a live stream gain so many likes during, while it's actually concurrent. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, actually, we're at 28. So all right, if we get to 30, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do another dance. I'm gonna do another dance. I'm not sure what I'll do, but the moderator, she's letting me know we get to 30. Han Slomo says his Insta is all underscore Mike underscore S. Give him a follow, guys. Give him a follow. Yeah, Just Samson says he's out on SoCal. PNY RTX 3080 Revel. Nice. And yeah, they're saying it's 22. Thunder says dab. I'll dab at 30. Matter of fact, I'll do a triple double dab. Maybe I'll even do a truth or dare. That'd be real extreme to do a truth or dare on a live stream. I don't know, y'all. Let's do it. Like truth or dare. Or ask me any question again. This isn't asking me anything. And RTX on yo, he said, "Yo, that's a dad dance." Absolutely, I have 4 children. I have 4 children. One moved out of the nest about a month ago. That definitely was a dad dance, though. You're right. You're right. I also get hit with the dad jokes too. Like I'm told that was a dad joke a lot of times across my socials. But Just Samson, I brought a couple peeps with me. Well, welcome, Just Samson peeps. Welcome to the Inside the Lab live show. We go live every Saturday, right? We go live every Saturday, and Just Samson, thanks for the raid. It pretty much was a raid, but we go live every Saturday, and we're almost at 30 likes. I'm seeing myself. I can see it over there, but we're almost at 30 likes. So hey, if you're just joining in, be sure to give the stream a like, and if you're new here to the channel and you've not yet subscribed, hopefully I'll earn your subscription at some point during this live stream. Slash ask me anything. This is an ask me anything. Please ask me anything. Even one of my kids is in the chat. I'm surprised they're not asking me something right now. But do, if you're new here, do be sure to give the stream a like and subscribe. We're growing. The channel is growing. I want us to grow all the way up to unlock some more new features here that's going to allow me to connect with the audience even more, like stories, and channel memberships too. Once we're down that path, and once we launch our private Discord, which do keep on the lookout for the Discord. The Discord is going to be so fun because you're going to be able to call in. And you're going to be able to, because I will honestly admit, I have missed a few DMs, I've missed a few notifications, but with a inside the lab server, with the lab fam server, and you have access to that server, you'll have direct reach to me all the time. I was going to save it for when we unlock channel memberships or if I went with the Patreon, but for all of the subscribers here that will join when we set it up on that live stream, if you join in, you'll automatically be grandfathered in. A lot of you have been around with the channel for a while. You supported me during the live streams. You supported me on the VODs. You supported me in the growth, giving me feedback, both constructive and destructive. I want to make myself more readily available for you and to make sure I don't miss those important notifications. So do be on the lookout for things like our Discord server because it is coming. Oh, and I've been told we at 30 likes. I need another dance. I don't know. I'll do the Macarena. If you don't know who the Macarena is, that's what they do it like that. That's another old school dance. And I wish I had some music. I should have had some music. But that's called the Macarena, and it's probably so cringy, but I don't even care. I'm hyped. That's what's up. Another record. 30 likes on the live stream. That's never happened. That's never happened. Totally hype. Totally hype. Don't laugh at my dancing. Don't laugh at my dancing. But yeah, I see. I see. We do have a few unfamiliar faces. I see. Let me jump in and say what's up to him because RTX1 says, yeah, we'll call you Elvis the Pelvis inside the Laugh Edition. Elvis the Pelvis inside. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Elvis the Pelvis inside the lab edition. A moment with. Welcome to the live stream. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us today and helping us get to that 30 likes. As the raid with Samsung likely helped us put us over that barrier. So, a moment with says here with Samsung. If you have any tech questions or any questions personally about myself, if you want to get to know me, do feel free to ask in the chat. This is also a Ask Me Anything live stream. Uh, Thunder says welcome. Yeah, welcome to our new friends. RTX1 says, well, what's up, peeps? Welcome, homies. Yeah, we're very welcoming community here. We welcome guys and gals, ladies and gents from all backgrounds and, all different areas of the globe, all super friendly. And this is a family friendly environment, too. So you're more than willing and you're more than welcome, safe to watch, with your little ones or your mid ones, whatever you may have. I have 4 mid little ones, if you will. And I see Kyle's free videos. Looks like another fellow creator. But hello, Kyle's free videos. Welcome as well. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you for joining us here on this Saturday night. Well, it's Saturday night here. I'm located on the East Coast in Maryland. But it's Saturday night here. It says Samson sent me too. Welcome, Kyle's free videos. Thank you for joining. Same thing. If you have any questions, feel free to answer in the chat. I'm trying to get caught up in the chat here. Sorry if I miss you. I want to say hi to everybody. Mrs. Zombify, he's waving. Um, Rest, relax, sleep. Hello and welcome. I believe you are new as well. Thank you for joining. Wow, Samson, you really brought us some really cool friends, man. I welcome all you guys. RTX1 says, "Oh, a Discord word, yeah," and it's gonna be super exclusive, super exclusive. So pretty much, if you're going to be in the Inside the Lab Discord, then you've likely participated in moments like these, right? Super exclusive and just an awesome place for me to just I look at the Discord server as if almost because I do have the Discord app and I get the notifications, but it's almost like a direct text message, form, right? That we all can just network and chill. But yeah, definitely it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. Be on the lookout for it. We'll do a live stream to highlight and commemorate it. But yeah, Spider Rule says, would you consider doing a Patreon? Actually have considered doing a Patreon as a way to extend my services and my knowledge and expertise to even where I will either do Patreon member only live streams where it's a little less, a little more informal. We cuss, we swear, we do all those non-family friendly things, right? But I have considered a Patreon. I just was hoping to get the channel memberships here on YouTube because I wanted to keep it all in one place. And if I did take it to Patreon, the highest the tier would be like $5 a month with like a $5 a month tier, $1 a month tier, maybe a $25 a month tier if the community would say want a moment to have like live to have a sit down, maybe where I sit down and talk to you live Zoom for an hour, or if you're building a PC and you want me to, this is one I really explored. If you're building a PC and you want me to be present with you and you're able to set it up where I will be live during your build process while you build your PC in case you run into any problems or should you have any questions while you're building it. But that would be for exclusive. You can think of it like a membership to have access to, to a tech tuber or someone that can help you with your tech questions. But yeah, I see we still have more Samsung friends checking in, right? Because yeah, Spider Rose, I do plan on doing a Patreon. JSTV, welcome Samsung crew. All right, with the Samsung crew, welcome JSTV. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate you guys. Even if you're just coming by and saying hi, I do appreciate you guys. Hi, someone says, what time is it over there? I'm at 11:30 a.m. Wow, it is 10:30 p.m. over here. That's interesting. I don't know if you're either on Sunday. I believe you're on Sunday, right? You got to be ahead. Wow. Yeah, no, it's 10:30 p.m. here. Or is that 11, no, 11:30 a.m. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. You're either ahead or behind. I think you're ahead of us. I could be wrong though. Adventures with Michael Boy. Here with Samson as well. Well, hello. Wow, Samson, you brought a lot of friends and fam to say hello. Adventures with Michael Boy, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. Thank you for helping us get the live stream to 30 likes, guys and gals. Definitely appreciate it. IPS TV, welcome as well. I guess we are dominating the chat here with Samson as well. You guys and gals have definitely came over, and it's like the after party. It's like we had the party earlier. A live stream is a little long. Normally they're not this long, but again we're kind of catching up from last week's live stream. The party was definitely on and popping, but hey, the Samsung crew came in and liven up the joint. Now we're here and we're kicking it up, man. We're cutting the rug, and yeah, Kimberly says 10:30 p.m. That's my wife. Mongo FPF, you're welcome. First time last like, and Mongo FPF, I guess you're the one who helped us got to 30 likes. I appreciate you coming here on the channel. Welcome to the Inside the Lab live show, right? Talk about all things PC tech and gaming and not just computers, right? We give love to our console friends too because PCs have character, but consoles have a purpose. And RTX1 says, question, do you use power supply extensions, cable replacements, or factory cables? I do. Most of the power supplies I use is a good question, RTX1. Most of the power supplies I use are fully modular. If I'm searching for a power supply for myself, it's almost always going to be fully modular. That way I have the flexibility of upgrading to custom sleeves. But I don't like using cable extensions. Sometimes they're necessary depending on the case configuration. Say if certain of the connectors won't reach, and I know the 30 series has a special connector as well. But depending on the build, depending on the aesthetic, I will use the factory cables. But yeah, I almost always go with a fully modular power supply unit, and that way I can upgrade and make that aesthetic upgrade, if you will, because you don't get any extra level of performance by going with it. It's almost 100% aesthetic. Or I could be wrong. Maybe there's something with power delivery or power distribution. But off the bat, it's almost immediately aesthetic, and I am about aesthetics with PC gaming. It's one of the things I enjoy the most about, this hobby, PC gaming in general. It's just that every PC needs to have the same makeup, right? It needs to have CPU, motherboard, graphics card, memory, case, and a power supply unit. But what I may pick could be significantly different from what you may pick, but we could very much end up with the same system, especially if we're buying the same exact CPU, right? RTX only like 9900K, my 9900K. Yours may be better bend, is what really starts separating CPUs because they're really not all that made the same. they all do perform within the same spec. And this is why Intel and AMD too, they have, you know, they have like turbo boosts on Intel side and, and PBO 2.0 on AMD side, where AMD and Intel, they both have already tested the CPU wafers, their dies. They know how fast they can go. And this is why the CPU will automatically turbo up to that frequency. You can manually overclock and take a little bit further, but every CPU is going to overclock differently and will require different temperatures and what have you. But yeah, great question. Hope I answered it enough, RTX1. Do let me know. Keep the questions going. This isn't Ask Me Anything. And for our new friends and fam that joined in, you guys and gals especially, want to get to know more about what we do here on our channel, or if you're PC gamers or if you're gamers yourself, do let us know in the chat. The chat is definitely on and popping. And some, oh no, no, well, Samsung crew, you guys were present for my dancing, right? When we hit 30 likes. Just Samson says like smash and blitz. Yeah, I know, right? And I don't. If we get to 35, I'll sing. I'll sing a song. If we get to 35 likes before the end of the stream, which we're rounding up here, but if we get to 35 likes, I'll sing a song. I'll sing Johnny Cash song. I like Johnny Cash. I don't know. First song that came, I'll sing a Johnny Cash song. If we get to 35 likes, I'll sing a Johnny Cash song. I don't think it'll happen. So y'all not gonna hear Lab sing tonight. I'll save that for another live stream. But if we get to 35, I'll straight up sing a song right now. It may get I might get a copyright hit, but don't matter. I'm very much, because that is very iffy. Even if you sing songs to the lyrics, it could still very much come. And I'm still very much behind the chat. Let me get caught up. But yeah, IPS TV says always wanted to build my own PC. Samson said I should check out this channel, like what I have seen so far. That's awesome, IPS TV, and I appreciate Just Samson the plug. I appreciate him bringing you here. You're in the right place, IPS TV. This community, especially not, beyond myself, this community itself, so knowledgeable, so willing to help. It's amazing. It's like a warming feeling, and you're in the right place. Doesn't matter how much you're willing to spend. We don't scrutinize the bills. We don't believe you. You can enjoy the best, but you don't need the best to play the best, right? Let me repeat that. It's a we appreciate the best, but you don't need the best to play the best. We welcome budgets of all sizes. Any questions you have, IPS TV, if you can't think of them now, along the way, definitely welcome to the channel. Welcome to subscribe. And if you want to take the conversation to the next level and have your questions answered more advanced, any video you come across, I do a lot of build videos here on the channel. I have one coming up that kind of shows the step-by-step process. And before 2021 ends here, I want to do a updated step-by-step how to build a PC guide for our newer members who have just subscribed to the channel. But that is something that we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to take it to the next level. So yeah, you're in the right place. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask during the live stream. If you're confused by anything we talk about, we're talking more so about like graphics cards, the GPUs, video cards, and CPUs. But if you have any questions about the process that may come to your mind now during the live stream, definitely feel free to drop them in the chat. If I'm missing, we have some awesome guys and gals in the chat that'd be more than willing to help you. And I myself definitely more than willing to help. Rest Relax says, I as well, interested in building a PC. Again, yep. So not going to, repeat, not going to go down that line again and, and bore you guys with repeating myself, but definitely rest, relax, and sleep. You're in the right place to learn how to do that. If you have any questions about the process, feel free to ask anytime during the chat. There are little misconceptions, a lot of things that, could steer new builders away from the process. And do know that there are also other options you can go with if you weren't completely comfortable with the build cycle, or maybe you had something that limited you from being able to build it yourself. Maybe you want to make sure everything works correctly out of the box. But even then, if you do go with the build like a custom builder, like a PC builder, to build a pre-built, or you buy a pre-built from say like Best Buy or Amazon, it's still very much important to familiarize yourself with the process. And that way, when you're ready to make upgrades, because going with the pre-built, you most likely will, unless you're going with like NZXT's BLD service, and you have more, you can scrutinize the parts a bit more as opposed to an already pre-built system from Amazon or Best Buy. But there are a lot of misconceptions, and you can go with the pre-built, but familiarize yourself with the process. At least familiarize yourself. You can watch on the channel. I have a most recent playlist down in the description box on top of my mailing list, which we didn't get to do it. We didn't get to do it earlier, and I guess I hate to do it to you guys and gals, but we missed out on it earlier. But our mailing list, you can join our mailing list with the link down in the description below or the pinned comment. YouTube notifications aren't great. This is the best way for me to contact you, and especially when things like our Discord launches and our Patreon launches, these guys and gals will be the first to know. So you definitely want to sign up totally free. You just need your email address and first name so I know what to call you. I promise not to send you any junk mail email, no more than 2 emails a month. And you can find merch like what I'm wearing now on our merch store, right? A lot of cool gear over there. A lot of different like domain. I like the classic. So you have domain class, Alphabet Boys, meme edition. Like this one here that says, I know I'm a handful, but that's why you got two hands. Love that shirt. And then quickly, last but not least, our website, which is an extension of the brand, which is an extension of the content. We have a blog there. You can check it out. I'm posting helpful blogs and helpful how-tos over in text format over there. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But you can find all that relevant information, helpful information over there. All right. Sorry. Shameful plug. All right. Shameful plug out the way. But yeah, if you're interested in building a PC, definitely in the right place. Hans Lomo says it's Sunday over there. Interesting. That big of a difference. So yeah, it's 11:30 Sunday. Wow. RTX1 says, let's build some PCs then. Reason I asked was my first time using braided extensions with nice cable combs. I always just use factory or a nice PSU, so looking at the extensions with combs is full replacement with combs. Yeah, and I need to actually order some combs because I have a Corsair RX 850 watt Corsair power supply unit with custom sleeves, but I need the combs, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for like black combs or like a complementary color on top of the white, but I'll probably just go with black combs. But I think the combs make the custom cables look great, especially when you can kind of train them and you get that nice crisp, that crisp feeling and crisp look. It's pretty dope. Yeah, send me some pics over on Twitter. RTX1 says I'll send you some pics on Twitter. And Kyle's free video says taking notes. Definitely. And if I'm not clear enough or if I don't explain it enough for you, definitely let me know. I have no problems with making sure you understand the process of any part to it. There's so many steps to it, and I definitely welcome if you haven't yet to subscribe. Not only like the video, which we're getting there, but not only to subscribe, but also, or not only to like, but also to subscribe because in Monday's video, which it should be up Monday this week, you'll get a firm idea of the whole entire process because I go into it, but we're dealing with used parts. But I also have some new builds coming up. Also doing a build for Sparta Rules, is maybe still in the chat. And Adventures of Michael Boy says, what software are you using to stream? OBS, StreamYard, vMixer, or other? That's a great question. I use a trio of Restream and Streamlabs OBS, and then you have the YouTube Live Studio backend. But I use Streamlabs OBS. I love it. I know there's a lot of different options. You have classic OBS, StreamYards, Ecamm Live. I mean, all of them are great. I don't know why. It's really because I originally intended on using Streamlabs OBS to grow the Twitch channel, which I do have a Twitch. I mean, we grow over there. I just don't stream enough over there. But originally I was going to use Streamlabs OBS, but I got so comfortable and I said, you know what? No, we're going to design the live show. We're going to design the live show based upon Streamlabs OBS because I got so comfortable with it. And then Restream, I had won a license to Restream over one of the creators I follow, Rob Balasabas, which Just Samson is how I met Just Samson, I believe, between Rob Balasabas and Consult the Blind Guy, Andrew, which if you know those guys, I'm going to be on Andrew's channel in interview format here pretty soon. Me and him got to talk a little bit more. But there's a little bit of a spoiler for you. Yeah, I'll be interviewed on Andrew's channel. Be on the lookout for that. When that does arise, I will share it on my community tab. It'll likely be a live stream. But not sure what questions Andrew's going to have for me, but curious to jump in and do that with him. So yeah. And Adventures with Michael Boy says, "Nice, thanks for the answer. No problem, absolutely, my pleasure. Keep the questions coming. Again, this isn't Ask Me Anything. I know most of you, I don't. This is our first time meeting each other, but this definitely doesn't have to be the last, and I hope it's definitely not the last. But I'm willing to answer any questions you may have. Again, even if they are outside of the realm of PC tech and PC gaming. But moving, jumping right along and not moving along there, but one of the other areas you can take, and this is outside of what we were just talking about because it's console heavy, but if buying a if building a PC isn't something you wanted to isn't the direction you wanted to go in. Say you still very much wanted a console to game on, and you skipped over the Xbox One and the PS4, which are very much starting to show their age. You can consider picking up a used Xbox One S from GameStop or even eBay. The most I've seen them is for like 280, and that's on like eBay. They have a little bit more, but you figure you could game at 1440p with an Xbox One S, right? It's a $400 console. It's available. It's cheaper than a PS or cheaper than an Xbox Series S, right? Yeah, you may not be able to get the shiny allure of the new consoles, but you can play all the same games that everyone's playing with on their PS5s and Xbox Series S's and X. Most of them are playing at 1080p. Some are gaming on 1440p monitors, which I highly recommend. Which the Xbox One S does support 1440p. The PS4 Pro does not, but the Xbox One S does support 1440p. So you could very much still invest in your monitor for future use, and also pick up a right here barely used Xbox One S pre-owned, $300. You'd be able to play games like Cyberpunk 2077 and near decent fidelity, and it's just plug and play. Much better than going with the option of entertaining scalpers and their trumped up prices right now. And if you really want to play, like if you're really a diehard Sony fan, like you gotta, even if you have, I know some users who have a PC and they have a console, and their go-to console is a PlayStation 4 Pro, and that's only because the Xbox Game Pass has done great things in terms of like bridging the gap between consoles and PC. In my honest opinion, the Xbox Game Pass almost makes uh, needing the need to buy a console outside of just the flexibility of a console necessary when a lot of the games, especially Microsoft exclusives, a lot of them you can play on the Xbox Game Pass. They're available on the PC. I use the Xbox Game Pass. Like it's how I was able to play like Forza, Gears of War 5, and Microsoft just bought Bethesda. Hello, that is a very big thing. I know Fallout 76 got a lot of flack and a lot of heat. We talked about this on a couple live streams. I ain't gonna go into it because I know a lot of you are here, but you you can go that route if you want to get a PS4 Pro, and you can couple that with your PC and then complement it. But from my findings, the PS4 Pros are still very much over the $400 mark, but that's a little bit too high in my honest opinion. I did a little research before the live stream, and really the Xbox One S, great value for the money. If you want a console, it's slightly better than OG Xbox One, right? Slimmer, aesthetics is better, but most importantly, you're able to play games. That's one of the things we talk about. Jump over to, let me get caught up in the chat really quick. Adventures with Micah says, thanks for the answer. Yeah, no problem. Robin Andrew, Just Him says Robin and Andrew are solid dudes. Yeah, they're great guys. Hopefully, I'd like to get on Rob's channel here soon. Andrew is coming up. And then Mrs. Onfi says, thanks. All have a good night. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. We're getting ready to conclude here. And Just Him says, we got a balance at Inside the Lab. We have one more stop to make tonight. I'm sure most of will see you on the next one later, y'all. Yeah, Just Samson, if you're still here, thanks for rating me. Thanks for bringing your community over and saying hi. I see a moment. A moment with says bye Inside the Lives. We'll be back. Yeah, thank you. A moment with. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for saying hi. I definitely hope to see you guys in the next one. But yeah, if you really want to play on PS4, if you really want those Sony exclusives, go with the PS4 Pro. $450 price range. Still lower than a PS5, which you can see here. Let's do a quick search. PS5 is very much still scalped for a ridiculous price. $1,700. That's like a 180% markup or something to that extent. $1,500. Crazy. So you ask yourself, what should you do? Should you really pay $1,200? You're still going to get the same level. You're going to play the same games. The performance is arguably going to be barely noticeable. This is not the way, fam. This is certainly not the way. And Kyle's free video said, or going back one up, RTX One says Xbox One X makes a great 4K Ultra HD player. Ask my wife. That's what its sole function is. Yeah, it's a great media player. It's what I miss my Xbox One. Eventually, towards the end, when I was gaming, that's what it became. Just a media player. But it was great for that function, like hands down. Like for watching Netflix and YouTube and Hulu, to name a few, and like for watching 4K. Yeah, it was fantastic for that. It was fantastic for that. Sparta Rule says sad panda. I was tempted. We had inventory that came in at work that I had to take and process. I almost bought one so I could trade it for PC parts. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you would scalp it or if you would sell it, stick to the code, but to each his own, right? And while I say don't entertain the scalpers, I just really don't believe in paying this much for a PlayStation 5. And it's a little bit redundant because even if a gamer was willing to pay $1,700 for a PS5, they are ignorant to the concept of what this price point could get you in terms of a complete gaming system. I mean, we're talking motherboard, keyboard, monitor, system. $1,700 with what's available right now. You would be somewhere with the system. Sparta Rule shared his little brother's system he was doing for his entry level build, which had a Ryzen 5 3600 on an X570 motherboard, 3600 megahertz RAM, and a 1660 Ti. I mean, you throw in your price of your monitor, you could either kick up the graphics card a little bit, go 2060 Super, which don't sleep on the 2060s, especially until we get new graphics cards that are in the sub $300 price range. But you could kick that up towards 2060 Super and a 1440p 144 hertz IPS monitor versus paying this much for a PS5. Any of these prices, even a grand, even $1,000, still very much an insane markup and not worth it. Hansloma says, I built my PC since Pentium days. Oh, yeah, I just love how versatile it is. Gaming, work, writing. Yeah, it is like the Swiss Army knives of CPUs. Pentium definitely is classic. I really didn't work a lot with Pentium, but when they first arrived on the scene is when I kind of first had my interest peaked as far as like gaming on a higher level. And RTX One says PS5 plays 8K, 144 FPS, and cooks you dinner. Haven't you guys heard who needs a PC? I know, right? I mean, I think I'm sensing a little bit of satire there, but yeah, it's like what else does the PS5 do? I tell you what it doesn't do: get listed at MSRP. Spider Rules 1993 says I was going to trade for a Ryzen 5 5800X or a 3070 for PS5 if bought one at work. Yeah, that'd be a heck of a trade, but you figure if somebody was able to get their hands on a 5800X or an RTX 3070, they're likely not looking to trade it for a PS5. They likely want to sell it and profit. And at that point, they're like, Ryzen 5800s. I'm not seeing them as high as they were at first launch, but they're still, I mean, they're still a little up there. We looked at them earlier in the live stream. Not going to jump into it now, but yeah, and in 3070s, we looked at a couple and they were priced a little low. That's why I said it's between a 6800 XT and RTX 3070. That's what was looking like in our poll too. And RTX One says sounds like it would have been a good plan. Yeah. Well, if if you would have been able to find someone to take you up on that offer. Most people looking for a PS5 though, they're looking for it for like holiday gifts. They want to pay the cash. They want to pay the cash. You'd be better off maybe selling the PS5 and just buying a 30, like you said, just buying a 3070 or 5800X. It may have been at, trumped up prices, but, it would have been available. You would have just ate the price a little bit. But yeah, if you were able to, if you have insider beforehand, like before they launch, go for it. I had shared a similar story to how I had got a PS3. I worked for Kmart as loss prevention, and I was doing a random inventory audit on the high-end electronic closet and sliced open a box to see what was in there, and sure enough, shiny black PS3 boxes, and my jaw dropped and I wanted to buy it, but they told me I couldn't buy it until street day, which was like 2 days later. So I went to the Kmart at 6 o'clock on the nose. I was standing outside 5:59. There were people lined up, but because I worked there and because I was essentially store security, they let me in, rung me up at 6 o'clock. That's how I was able to get my hands on the PS3. Those were that, and that Kmart at the time had only gotten three, and I bought one of them. Same thing with that's how I bought Nintendo Wii U at the time, working at Kmart. They had only gotten two Wii U's. I ended up buying one of them. Kind of sucks, but hey, when you got inside connections, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But RTX1 says, "I'll give you a bag of chips and a Dr Pepper for it. Don't forget the chicken noodle soup. I was gonna say with a soda on the side, but you got the Dr Pepper. But Dr Pepper is my favorite soda. I like cherry Pepsi since you guys couldn't get bold and ask me some personal questions. I like cherry Pepsi, cherry Coke, vanilla Coke, Dr Pepper for the win. Dr Pepper is one of the best things to drink, especially when it's cold and it's so Americana, right? So Americana, but love Dr Pepper. Our text on says three per stock. Three per store sounds like Big Navi stock. I know, right? Maybe even worse. Maybe even worse because as far as my best knowledge, Best Buy never even listed it. Best Buy, matter of fact, if we jump to it now, Best Buy, I wonder if it still has coming soon for the if we're gonna say the 3070. I was in a Best Buy earlier today, and it just says sold out. Before the 6800 XT, it has said coming soon, which I'm like that's not the same as sold out, fam. Hold on. Like that's just not the same as sold out. See, now it says sold out, but if you go back on, I believe 2 Mondays ago vlog, you'll see I have a Windows capture displaying where it says coming soon, not sold out, but coming soon. And that was on launch day. It almost begs the question like, did did they even get any? Like, what's good, fam? What happened? RTX1 says, yeah, sounds like Big Navi stock. Sounds like worse than Big Navi stock, right, bro? RTX1 says, I knew you were alright. I knew you were alright. A Dr. Pepper, man, with the solid fist pump right back at you. I mean, yeah, I love Dr. Pepper. Usually when me and my wife we go out and we're going out to eat, most restaurants um don't have cherry, like they have like specific Coke products. But whenever I can get cherry Coke, I get cherry Coke. But Dr. Pepper is like always, do you have Dr. Pepper? Like, no, no Dr. Pepper. I'm like, man, I'm gonna start sneaking in my own contraband in because I need Dr. Pepper in my meal. I also like barbecue sauce. I'm just gonna randomly start telling y'all creepy stuff about me. But I also like barbecue sauce. And I see my guy, Dr. Elo, bienvenido, hermano. He says, Que pasa? Que pasa? Welcome. Welcome. You kind of came in towards the end of the live. We've been going live here for a while now, and we were near the end of it, talking about used PC parts and, the scalpers and just catching up because I took a holiday break off of. I took a holiday break here to, with our American holiday Thanksgiving and didn't do a live stream. Plus, I had to get a new mic. I kind of, I name dropped you earlier because mentioned you and I mentioned Andrew because Andrew, I was talking to Andrew and he had some hardware things he was overcoming, but he did message me and invite me on his show, and I told him, yeah, I also owe Dr. Elo a conversation because I know, he wants to interview me, get me on his channel. But Dr. Elo, it's good to see you, brother. I was hoping you popped in because I wanted to share that with you. I'm a little behind, but yeah, I had to cancel some of my lives here and some other live meetings because I was without a microphone for a couple of days. But yeah, K Pasa, welcome, hermano. Han Shlomo says, "Dang, Cherry Coke loved it, even back in the East Germany days." Yeah, Cherry Coke just, man, my mouth watering. I want one now. Like I want a Cherry Coke now. I want a Cherry Coke now, or a Dr Pepper. I want both of them. And I had a Cherry Coke earlier. I was throwing them back. And for the record, drink water, ladies and gentlemen. Drinking soda all the time, not the best thing for you. Yeah, you want to make sure you are balancing that with some water. I normally like soda when I'm eating food. And I see we're at 31 likes. I know I said I was going to sing at 35, but we're almost at the end of the live stream. I don't think we're going to get there, but I was going to bust out and do a do a quick Johnny Cash bar or two. That was only if we hit 35 likes, but we're only at 31. We won't get 4 likes. I'm playing devil's advocate here. We won't get 4 likes by the time the live stream concludes. We're close, but we won't get there. If we do, I'll sing. I'll sing. It might cost me a copyright, hit, but we'll see. 'Cause I'm sure that the songs, has even if you only sing a bar or two from it, you still very much get hit with a copyright claim. And yeah, Dr. Elo says we got to make that live stream and PC requirements live, brother. Yeah, all for it. All for it coming onto your channel live. Now that I have my hardware situated on my end, we'll communicate that. We'll talk about that. And also, I also need to reach out to Andrew. We'll see who, because I asked him his format too, and I understand he has to kind of wait out, and me and you have to talk more about, the plan and how to make it happen. But yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, going in 60,000 series sold out, but you know, you can, and even if you were to go with a console in that price range of 200 to $300, or you wanted to go into the $400 price range, you could, you could, uh, you could, you could capture a graphics card within the same level, say $200 to $300. And the same thing remains with if you were looking at a PS4 Pro, right? Because again, I said the PS4 Pro, they're still going for a little over $400, even used. But if you want a high-end console that's not a PS5, because it's not like you can't play, it's not like I believe there's some PS5 exclusives. For most of the games that are coming out now, the big ones or some of the ones you want to play now, Fortnite or what have you, you will still be able to enjoy those same games. But you could pick up a graphics card in both the new and used market in the same price range of a Xbox One S, so that $200 to $300 price range, because Xbox One S's are going for about $200. I've seen them for like 212, 180. And if you went for like a GameStop, if you're in an area where you can physically go to a GameStop, I don't know if GameStop is shipping now, but if you're in an area where you can physically go to a GameStop and pick one up, consider picking up a used Xbox One S. You know it's going to work because GameStop tested it. So you know it's going to work, and you might even get like a 30-day warranty to come with it, just in case something may fail along the way. So that's just something to consider in that price category. But if you're on a PC and you either want to upgrade, we had a member in the audience that wanted to pair an i5, a third generation i5 with a 660 Ti and upgrade down the road, and you very much could do that in parts. And if a graphics card is on the docket for that upgrade, you could be in the $400 price range. That's the price range of a PS4 Pro. You could be in a $200 to $300 price range. That's the price range of an Xbox One S. And with the $200 to $300 range, you're in that price range. So a lot of the graphics cards we talked about during this live stream. Normally, I have affiliate links down in the description box below that direct you to Amazon and eBay where you can learn more about these products. But if you really want to do that, you can check out some of the previous live streams, and they're in the description box there. But a lot of the graphics cards we talked about, like the 1660 Ti, the 1660 Super, the 1660, and the 1650 Super, they're in that price range, they're in that price category, and even just the general category of $200 to $400, you're capping out at about a 5700 XT. Anything over that mark, your price to performance is going to start to diminish, because right now the only graphics card that's in that $400 to $500 price range now is the RTX 3060 Ti, which is available, not being fully scalped yet. Some places, yeah, but it's not available from the retailers and e-tailers, and that's kind of the direction you would want to go. But you do have that option, because the reality is both consoles and PCs, or both consoles and new PC hardware, won't be available until 2021. Like, a few members here earlier in the live stream, if you were here, you may have saw it, but a few members had talked about that as well, to where most of everything's 6900 XT, especially pipe dream until mid 2021. 6800 XTs on a normal level, pipe dreams until 2021. 30 series, and I'm talking new. When I say available, I mean at MSRP. That's what I mean when I say available. Because patience is a virtue. We should weather the storm and embrace new hardware when their performance isn't being devalued by scalpers. Again, it makes it hard to recommend products when you can't buy them at their MSRP. It's conflictive, especially if the manufacturer would send me them for free. Why review a product that I was given for free to then for you to turn around and buy it at a markup of up to 150%? Just doesn't make sense in my honest opinion. That's why here on the channel we try to stick to you know, the reality of the situation, the reality of the market. There are other options. Patience is a virtue. But for many of us, that patience will pay off. If we, some of us were lucky, and by some of us, because as a, we're, this community, we're one as a whole. Some of us was able to pick up 6800 XTs, like right, Han Slomo, and another member here in the chat was able to pick up 6800 XTs, and RTX One has an RTX 3080. They're out there, hard to find, but they are out there, and they are out there at MSRP. But luck, it takes a little bit of consistency, being persistent, and luck. It's like that trifecta that you need to encapsulate to be able to find these products. But we need to wait until they are available at MSRP, is what I highly recommend, and it's what I suggest. Even if you could, even if your pockets were deep and you could afford those prices, good for you, kudos to you. But do know that the money is essentially wasted if you're willing to pay 150%, if you're willing to pay for a product that's marked up by 150% just because you want it and you could afford it, you're kind of wasting your money because what you could get with that money could be significantly better as opposed to paying more. I mentioned this earlier in the live stream, excuse me, and if AMD, priced the 6800 XT at $1,100 at launch, everybody would be saying it's not worth it. Or would they? Would we still be buying them, right? Would we still be buying these graphics cards if the manufacturers, or any of these products, CPUs included? This is more so specific for Ryzen. And hello, uh, Intel is just sitting back like, whew, whoa. Uh, it's like that meme, right, with the Muppet Baby where they're looking one way and looking the other. Intel is just sitting back like, well, now it's looking like our 10 nanometer and 7 nanometer being delayed isn't such a bad thing right now, right? Them refining that 14 nanometer with the upcoming 500 series chipset and 11th generation Rocket Lake CPUs. It's that chipset, it's that platform that I myself am looking to upgrade. 7 nanometer may not be ready, and it could even been further delayed now, thanks to what's going on around the world. But that is the reality we're in. That is the reality we're in. It's none of our fault. Arguably it's arguably not even AMD and NVIDIA's fault. Their companies too. They're losing money out because of the global issues disrupting the world and commerce right now. They are suffering too. They are hurting in some way, shape, or form. If they weren't able to crank up to crank up production to meet supply, they are absorbing the backlash of it right now. Like, who are consumers? If you work retail, you know who are consumers going to get mad at. The first person that they can associate with the store, with the brand. And if you work there, that is you, my friend, even if it's not your fault. This is why it's not all in AMD and NVIDIA's fault. I think they could have been more transparent about it, in my honest opinion. I think that's the biggest drop in the ball. And I'll switch back here to the meme scene for those who might have jumped onto the live stream here late. We got a kick out of these some of these memes here that I've accumulated from off the web, right? But it just it boils down to the overall theme and the topic of this live stream. It really does, because this too shall pass, right? Things will, and eventually, yeah, we'll get back to normal. If you're watching this and this is like if you're hearing a replay in the year 2022 and you're gonna be look back on this saying, wow, yeah, things have changed. Hopefully things have changed. We want there to have been change and for things to have changed for the good, right? Where people are safe and healthy. But this is our reality. These are the ways we can circumvent what's going on right now, right? And that's using, diving down and exploring the used market. We talked about that earlier in the live stream, but yeah, take advantage of these alternate options. Prepare to level up your gaming experience. Rather that be on an OG Xbox, OG PS4, and you say, "Yeah, I got $600. I got to build a PC." But what's this? Everything is jacked up in price. Like, what is going on? Take advantage of these alternate options, new and used. Research your parts, stick to your budget, save in some aspects or areas, improve in others. My highest recommendation, what I recommend and suggest the most, and I had recommended this to a member here in the audience, make sure the upgrade is targeted. By targeted, I mean make sure it will enhance your experience in some way, shape, or form. Not just the upgrade, like an aesthetic upgrade is okay too. Even down to fans, maybe you may get better airflow. Maybe you may get, better, may lower temperatures, right? Although that's still very much dependent on ambient room temperature. Aesthetic upgrades, fine too. Nothing wrong with that. But if it's like a three-digit upgrade, like anything over $100, $200, make sure it's targeted. Right? Like that user asks, which one should I upgrade? Make sure it's targeted. It's not a matter of which one. Finish the sentence with, which one matters the most? Because that is what's important in terms of upgrading with what's available right now. Let's say that user built that system with the i5 330 and the 660 Ti, and next month his bro is like, hey man, I want more, I want more, I want more. I'm not competitive enough. I want like over 100 FPS. I want to at least be at the 120 FPS mark. You can upgrade with what's available right now, and it'd be, it's an alternate option that that user in particular could level up their gaming experience, and the upgrade would be targeted, right? In that case, we recommended upgrading both CPU and GPU if possible. But yeah, you take advantage of these alternate options and prepare to level up your gaming experience. All right. Now, concluding here, again, I just want to remind everybody that this live stream, we were catching up from last week, and this wasn't Ask Me Anything. Before we conclude and bring this ride to a slow end, I just want to remind you, if you're out there and you have any questions before we wrap up, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I do want to give a shout out to everybody who stopped by today. And if you're here on the replay and you made it this far, even if you're here on the replay, or if you're here on the replay, you made it this far, you would know. But if you're on the replay, let us know. I appreciate our replay friends and fam. I really do. But I do want to give a shout out to RTX On, who says been an amazing stream. Gonna hop off, spend time with the fam. Absolutely, that is definitely important. RTX On, appreciate you, Dr. Elo, for stopping by and saying what's up. Uh, So many people. Sparta Rules, 1993. Han Slow-Mo. Kyle's Free Videos. A Moment With. Just Samson. The Mr. Zombified. Adventures with Micah. Rest, Relax, Sleep. IPS TV. We had a few new people join. Mongo FPV. JSTV. Hello, or not hello, I know you were here. Just shouting you out. Thunder. Shout out to Thunder, one of my kids that was here on the live stream. Tiger Nation, who was another one of my kids. Like I said, Just Sansom that was here. Wow, going all the way up. I want to make sure I didn't forget anybody. Drexer 909K that was here. Ron Richards. I see somebody else just joined on. If you join onto the live stream, let me know in the chat. But I was just going over and saying hello and thanking everybody who came on. If you want to get that final Ask Me Anything question in, definitely now's the time. Go ahead and ask away. But Drexer909K shared a lot of information with us about their build, and I had my friend Ron come in. Jards, a lot of unfamiliar new faces, or in this case names, but had a lot of people come in, but a lot of unfamiliar people, a lot of new faces come in. But yeah, Your Highness, another regular, going all the way up, almost there, almost to the top, almost to the top, almost to the top, y'all, almost to the top. I just want to make sure I didn't get anybody. And that's everybody. And Christoph, who's another regular, was here. I had my friend Keith Hall, who was a former manager of mine at a job I had a few years back. But yeah, a lot of new faces, a lot of new names. I appreciate you guys coming on again. If you're here, I just want to give the same spiel I gave in the beginning of the live stream, that given the climate, given the climate of the world right now, most of the time when we're talking to people and we're engaging to people, 50% of our face is covered up. So there's a slight disconnect. And so when I'm live, I mean, I wear a mask out in public too, right? But when I'm live, this is so different because we're just not used to seeing people without wearing a mask and talking to us anymore. So just the very fact that I can get on live and talk to you guys and gals, without wearing a mask, and you guys can conversate right back and forth. I know it's not in this format, but there, it just know that I definitely do appreciate you guys. RTX someone says next time we're crushing 35 likes. Yeah, I know. I tried to extend it, tried to give more time for more friends and family to come in and get us. We were 4 away. We were 4 away. Next week, still very much Johnny Cash song. I've been wanting to try to sing it. I'll sing it. I really will. And Kimberly, our shout out to our moderator. Definitely shout out to our moderator. And Spider Rule says, "Hey, I sent you a private message. Let me know if you got it." Yeah, I will definitely check it after the live stream. I normally power my phone off, or I try to, I try not to let my phone be a distraction during the live streams. But I will definitely check it out after the live stream. And you said it was about the question you asked me. Okay. All right. Yeah, I will definitely check it out. If I miss it tonight because it's a little late here, I will definitely shoot you a reply in the morning. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys, and I definitely appreciate connecting and just meeting with you. All right. I hope that I hope to catch you on the next one. But first of all, thanks for hanging out during this YouTube live. But I hope to catch you all in the next one. So until then, be easy.